Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are doing well this evening. Oh, hey, that's in my face. Let's just do a mic check and you guys can tell me if I sound okay or not. Oh my God, Bluebell's still here. She looks so cute. Oh my God. Nice stuff. I love it every time I read these. Thank you so much, Sashina. Thank you all for being here today. Welcome. We have a number of different cases tonight to watch, and we're going to start with a bit of a competition. So, first things first, welcome. This is Kitchen Court Cases, where we watch court in my kitchen. I'm going to cook tonight, but things are in front of me and it will happen. I'm going to make what I said I would make last week, which was Korean bibimbap. So, we'll get on that. The dog will be picked up. There will be some commotion during that, so be prepared for that. Um, Make sure you clock in for your shift. That's you too, Bluebell. Clocking in for your shift, please. Um, Hi, Robert Morley. Hi, Sashina again. Let me know what you guys are having for dinner tonight. If you didn't like what you have for dinner, let me know what you wish you had for dinner. There is a little side mission that we have available tonight for anybody that would like to take on the side mission. Um, I have covered these people in a case before. I'm pretty positive about it. I couldn't find I couldn't find it in my archive, but I remember that we did. So, what I need from you guys is not just say, like, I want somebody to find the video in my videos where we've already found this. We've already dealt with this because you're going to remember, and I remember one of the lawyers has a man bun. It's a TPO hearing. Actually, I don't even know what the fuck this hearing is because I turned it on and I was like, I'm having deja vu, I swear. Like I've already watched this. And it's because it's the same people and we have watched some of it, but this is a bit of a rehash. So, that is the side mission for anybody that wants to accept that. Your details are coming up shortly. I am going to show you on screen um, what case we're going to start with, and we're going to start with this one. I've gotten so much coverage today, so many different things, plus posted new videos. My brain's not keeping track very good. So we're going to start with this. We'll move on to the next. I'll cook dinner. Bluebell, do you want to come say hi? Yeah, say hi to everybody. They think you're real cute. They do. Everyone does. Could you sit? 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 Oh, what a good girl. What a good girl she is. Okay. With that, um, and making sure that you're all clocked in, Bluebell has already had a write up for falling asleep on the job. And she is honestly on thin ice at this point. So take that as a reminder for you guys to clock in for your shift, hit that like button, and let's begin. Yeah, yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Sorry. Thank you very much. I think it should work in time. Thank you for reminding me. I saw one of your comments earlier on the video, and I appreciate that. Appreciate all the new subscribers. I know I was muted and that not muted. I'm muted because the oh yeah should come through shortly. I hope. Hi, Heather West. Okay, so but thank you very, very much, Yaya. I appreciate you and all of our new viewers. If you're new here, you're gonna find the lives are a little bit more chaotic than the regular videos, but if you stick with us, you'll have a lot of fun. Also, in the chat, lots going on. Feel free to block Streamlabs if you don't want to see all that. It's totally fine, and the chat really clears up for you. But if you prefer gambling where it doesn't cost you anything, you're in the right place. So, like I said, you guys are going to tell me, and the person who is wanting to go on a side quest tonight is going to go ahead and find this original video. I believe it was in early March / late February, but you'll see. We're back into DeKalb County, Georgia. My bread and butter in Georgia. I love them. Also, I'll pop into this scene in a moment once I figure out how many people will be here. Bob Dobbs, thank you so much. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. I'll do another one. They let me do test ones. So let's do another one for Yaya.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, both of you guys. I love all of you. I know it's hard because they don't have thumbnails, they don't have titles. I know that. Our phone. Believe me, I spent a little bit of this morning side questing and realized I couldn't do it. Well, I could, but not and put out videos. Okay, you know what I mean. And nobody has to do it. It's just if you want to. That's just, you know how I do. You're gonna see, like, I think the tell will be in the comments, as a matter of fact. Because we'll figure it out. You'll see what I mean. Anyways, without further ado.
Judge, before we begin, I do have an objection to the filing of the motion to reconsider itself as out of time, Your Honor.
All right, and what is the law you're basing that on? Just tell me. Go
Yes,
ahead.
Judge. Just the fact that it should have been filed.
Did we lose Mr. Shaw? Mr. Shaw, you just went off video and unmuted.
He probably lost connection, but he may pop back up. I'll check the waiting room to see. If his assistant that's also logged on could just notify him and let him know that.
Who's assistant?
It says assistant Coplin Shaw.
Bluebell's gonna be leaving soon. Come here, honey. Come here. Yeah. Everybody loves Bluebell. She is a star. She's a star. Seriously, man, but there's Orlando Chiquita, my friend. Thank you so much, Donna. Appreciate you. She knows her mommy's coming. I'm gonna take her outside in just a moment. But do you guys remember Attorney Shaw with the man bun in this specific case with there was a husband and, oh my God, was it taken down? Is that why I can't find it? Like, was it the one that was removed? I remember we did one Tuesday, but I thought that was the house husband TPO that was removed. I've had so many removed. YouTube dad. Anyways, Bluebee, we're gonna go outside now. I wanted you to say bye to everybody, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Donna. And this is Bluebell the dog. Sorry. Bluebee. That's Bluebell. She is an employee here. She works with Larry. You know.
Oh, I don't see that person.
It might be all the way at the bottom of your screen. It just got KS. They're not on video.
That's him. Oh, that's that's now he completely logged off. Okay, here he is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got him. Okay, I'm bringing him back in.
Oh my God, I missed that at the beginning. She thought they were the same guy.
Okay, Mr. Shaw.
I'm so sorry,
Mr.
Your
Shaw,
Honor.
let me say, so one of the concerns we had at the last hearing is you filed a motion to continue, but you did not file a conflict, so to speak. And so I do have concerns when you don't file a conflict and your client doesn't appear. A motion to continue is not an order of continuance. So I have some concerns with your client's not appearing at the last hearing. People don't get to pick and choose when they get into court. So I have some concerns about that and just wanted to let you know.
I understand, Judge. Are we addressing that right now, or
no? At this point, I just wanted to let you know because we were talking about the last hearing and everyone was there, and we never had a conflict filed. So at this point,
Judge, I know there was a little bit back and forth in the email. My understanding is I did follow the rules. I cited the rule in the email itself, Judge, but we can just put that aside.
I know. I'm saying that's not a court. A notice of conflict is the most appropriate following of the rules of court when there's a conflict. A motion for which is something the court can refer to and hold for a report or take a motion for continuance is not that. And so I just letting you know in the future.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying that I filed a motion to continue rather than a conflict notice.
Yes.
I thought I also filed a conflict.
There was no conflict. Okay. And then the conflict that was filed was a continue. But we're going to go ahead. I'm just letting you know that is my concern. And in the future, be aware of that. And if a client does not appear, the case may go on. I don't want to be put in that situation.
I understand, Judge.
Okay, so go ahead. Sure exactly, Mr. Spiesman, are you thinking we're not going to make our time?
Well, Judge, I mean, if we're going to argue a motion dismissed for this being untimely, I would just point the court back to every motion that Mr. Shaw has filed that has been completely untimely from the second that he filed in this case, including being untimely for the hearing he missed to begin with. So I guess the best argument, and it is not untimely, first of all. But
Judge, I wasn't done with making my motion.
See, that whiny voice. Don't we remember that? Also, hi guys. Okay, I just ran Bluebell outside and was delivered by my lovely sister a Tim Hortons coffee. This is what's gonna keep us going tonight, guys. Anyways, do you guys remember this at least? If you don't, if we can't remember or find the actual video, but do we remember it? I'm not nuts, right? Never mind, don't answer that at all.
Judge. I mean, Mr. Shaw arguing timeliness in this case is just preposterous.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and say what law you believe that I should dismiss this motion for reconsideration under briefly, and then I'm likely going to allow him to be heard on it. But go ahead.
I understand, Judge. Judge, I got kicked off of Zoom, and I wasn't really done making my argument. The argument is basically that motions to reconsider have to be filed within 10 days. When I understand Mr. Spiesman keeps bringing up that my motions weren't filed timely. My motion to reconsider was filed timely. I think what he kept referring to was our motion for a new trial, and that was held to be moot, first of all. And second, Judge, motion for new trials is supposed to be filed within 30 days. The 30th day for the motion for the new trial falls on a holiday after a long weekend.
Yeah.
So when we filed the motion for the new trial, which now is moot.
Yeah, I don't need to talk about the motion for new trial. And
exactly.
He said moot. Moot. Thank you, MB. I gotta move that down so that it can be right in the right spot because I literally tried to jump, which is not gonna work. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Lisa K, OG Queen. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I joke, but we have absolutely seen this hearing before. There was allegations of her and an Egyptian church in Nashville, Tennessee, and there's a whole. I remember it. It absolutely is a case that I did. Is this one? Hi, Credence and Mikey, by the way. Jonathan Hart, thank you so much. Look at you. Gifting memberships. And Credence and Mikey are here. OGs.
Yeah.
So Credence and Mikey, unless, was it was it you? Like, this is the problem, is that I've watched it. I watched so much court. I'm like, was I just being a mouthpiece in the chat of somebody else's court case while this was happening? And that's why I remember it so vividly. Or is that something that I covered? Because I remember like sounding off about it. But again, that does not mean that I wasn't in somebody else's channel. Just like Credence and Mikey, you guys see in the chat, if you're not already subbed there, amazing channel, time served, looking at legal stuff. Like, there's many places. Okay, so Credence and Mikey did it. Okay, so maybe that's where I saw it. So this is a very interesting rehash of that man bun version that we have here.
Oh, yeah.
Yay! Thank you all. Okay, let's keep going with it. And again, thank you all for being here.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
So I'm just responding to what Mr. Spiesman just spewed out right now, Judge. But all motions that we filed have been filed timely. Mr. Spiesman's motion right now, which is before Your Honor, is 2 days past what the expiration date is.
What statute is he citing, Judge? I just inquire in a civil proceeding.
That's what I'm trying to figure.
I don't have the statute number, the code section right in front of me, Judge, but I know that in civil proceedings, when motions to reconsider are to be filed within 10 days, Your Honor's order was March 8th, and Mr. Spiesman's motion to reconsider was filed on March 20th.
All right. Well, without the law that you're citing to, I'm going to go ahead and hear his motion for reconsideration at this time, noting your objection. And
yes, Judge.
All right, Mr. Spiesman, you may continue.
Thank you, Judge.
Do y'all? I've read the motion. Obviously, it's been filed. Brief, 2-sentence. What we're here for? What do you expect the evidence to show, Mr. Spiesman?
Very quickly, Judge. Despite the fact that we certainly think that we met our burden in the initial hearing, you ruled against us. We understand and respect that ruling. Nonetheless, there were at least 2 things that occurred during that hearing that were not readily apparent to us and should be considered to demonstrate further surveillance and stalking. There were questions that
Sammy does look so sad, but just to give a debrief to anybody who's new here, this is a hearing about temporary protective orders, and Sammy, the lady above me, the weight on my shoulders, no, she's not really, is actually from the victim's advocate. She's a victim's advocate. I believe she's there to have another face on screen for the victim, which I actually like. I wish I could do it. I don't think they would approve of my feed, to be honest. I mean, I already insert myself, and a lot of people come in the first time and they're like, who is that lady in her kitchen? She's going to get held in contempt. So, but I think it would bring some levity to the situation. Anyways, she does look sad, but I guess it's her job to look sad. Hi, Karin. Tonight's dinner is the dinner I said I was going to make last week, which I didn't, which is Biff and Bop. My back door is open, Mikey. Oh, you got me on that one. You made me look. In Canada, we don't really lock our doors. Shh, don't tell anybody. But seriously, I don't close it. I don't lock it. So, yeah. The front door is open too. We don't have any AC either. Oh, no AC, but we don't need it.
that were asked that would only be indicative of someone having knowledge where my client was at a particular date and time, and my client being under substantial surveillance, including visits to a therapist, and also the installation of a Ring camera in her home that was not installed in it while Mr. Mina was living there, indicative of the continued surveillance. So we're asking that you consider these additional facts, and there are additional facts in this hearing, and reconsider your decision.
Okay, Mr. Shaw.
Yes, Judge. Judge, as Mr. Spiesman said, both of those things came up at the last hearing. They're supposed to have been argued at the last hearing in Mr. Spiesman's closing argument. In fact, he did argue them in his closing argument. He did talk about how my cross-examination of Miss Morgan was somehow indicative of Mr. Morgan somehow tracking, and that's the only way that we would know about that. There's responses to that, Judge, that was not, it was not Mr. Morgan tracking him. But that was argued at the last hearing. It was in his closing argument. The Ring camera was also argued in his closing argument. We had a court reporter present, Judge, and that would all have been in her record. So respectfully, Judge, both these items have already been litigated. They've been contested, and I cite a couple of case laws, Judge. In fact, the case law that Mr. Spiesman cited, Claxton v. Adams.
This is opening
Also-
statement, not opening argument.
Yeah, we can do closing. If you want to
Okay.
get into that, you can cite that to me when we're done.
Sure.
All right. And I will note one thing in the order. It says that so I will note that on that day, I did give the petitioner an opportunity to continue, and everyone elected to proceed on that day. So I know that was mentioned in the order that they were not allowed, and I just want to make sure that that's clear from my notes and as well as my recollection.
And that's, Judge, that was also going to be part of my opening statement. And just one last thing for my opening statement, Judge, that respectfully, Judge, whatever that has already been argued in the previous hearing, it was an evidentiary hearing, should not be re-litigated. If there's new evidence that was available, then I understand that, but that's
Yeah, so we're going to be laser focused. That's what we're going to be talking about. Mr. Spiesman, please focus on what you believe is relevant to your motion. All right, Mr. Spiesman, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Morgan, please raise your right hand. Unmute. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you provide to this court be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury? Audio is not on.
So yeah, I do.
I'll try to prompt. Oh, there she.
I swear.
Okay, thank you. All right. All right, Ms. Morgan, are you the same Ms. Morgan that's filed a motion for this honorable court to reconsider the permanent protective order?
Yes.
Okay. And can you please begin by indicating specifically why you're asking this court to reconsider this particular ruling?
Because I'm still living in fear, and a couple of incidents happened in the last motion that we haven't discussed in regard to the therapy and my visit to Nashville, Tennessee, when I see my family and the therapist. And this is very confidential, that nobody have access to know my calendar with the therapist, even
Okay, so
in the future.
let me just stop you so we can take it one at a time.
Sure.
All right. What information would you like to share with the judge related to your therapist that would be relevant to show a pattern of stalking or surveillance?
For the attorney, that he asked me several questions in regard to my appointments in the past and in the future. And nobody have access to any of those information. And in regard to the Ring camera, that nobody had access to know that there such a thing exists in the house.
Okay, so how often do you visit?
Continue.
No, let me.
Hold on. I hit the wrong button there, but I was trying to pause it because daylight, hiya. MB, this is not new evidence. I agree because I've heard it. But they do, if I recall, IIRC, they do not have children. Thank goodness, because we all know it's the worst part when, kids are involved. But if I recall correctly, that's this case. There's no kids involved. It's just the two adults. Jody, by the way, mashed potatoes and meatloaf and corn sounds delicious. I got my rice boiling. I'm doing the rest. You'll see how it goes. Yes, old house, no AC. This actually used to be an entrance. There's been a lot done to this house, but I guess it technically is still an entrance with a door right there. But the door used to be different. Anyways, we'll continue. I think this hearing in itself is just a weird hearing to begin with, but I guess it makes more sense. So she's seeking a rejudgment of the first case. So, do they have Cheez-Its? Did I see that? That disappeared. See, now my brain's like, you didn't see that. But I really think I did see something about Cheez-Its.
Treating with the therapist?
Yes.
Okay. What is the last name of the therapist you're treating with?
I am not sure her last name. She's a nun. Her name is Sister Joanna. I can look at the email about her last name. The main reason I'm actually seeing this specific therapist. Should I continue?
No, let me just ask you very pointed questions.
Yes,
How
and I was just shaking my head because I didn't want anybody to say their therapist's full name online.
Yeah, that's all right. So, how often do you visit with your therapist? You don't
Once
have
a
to
month.
date a time, but just how often? Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly?
Once a month, every 3 weeks. It depends on her schedule.
Okay. And do you share the information, meaning your scheduled meetings, with anyone in particular?
Nobody except for me, the therapist, and my phone.
Okay. All right. And so you indicated that you were asked questions at the previous hearing about future appointments with your therapist. Can you specifically indicate to the judge what you're referencing?
Yes. In the last court, I was asked if I am going to see the therapist in the future, the next weekend, which was March 11th. And nobody have access to know that I already have an appointment, already been scheduled with the therapist, not even my family. I didn't share any information with anybody. Even in the church, I see the therapist on Saturday. Saturday, there is no service in the church. Nobody even come to the church. I normally stay in my car and wait for the therapist to come and unlock the office, which is located downstairs in the church. So I normally don't see anybody, nobody see me. I just go see the therapist. Even my family, I don't share when I'm going. I just go see the therapist and just see them on surprise visits. So nobody ever have access to know.
Okay, so were you asked a question alleging a specific date that you would be visiting with the therapist?
Yes, I was asked.
Hold on, I got it. And where is the therapist located? What city and state?
She is located in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, all right. And what state do you predominantly spend your time in?
Nashville, Tennessee, when I go visit my family, but I live here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Nashville, Tennessee. Man, I just said singing. I am making Korean bibimbap, a variation of it, which is rice with a gochujang sauce. And there are Cheez-Its in Canada. Hi, Tommy V and MI. Guys, there's another channel growing every day. Although I did see that you had 420 subscribers the other day, Tommy, and I was like, yeah, that's right. Anyways, Sashina, you're so funny. Hi, Courtney. But you guys make sure to sub to Tommy V and MI as well. That's another great channel. We love supporting creators around here. Don't mind me, I'm molesting this rice. I shouldn't say that. That's probably gonna get flagged somehow. Things I have to worry about. Giggity. Giggity, giggity, giggity. You're a native Nashvilleian. You've lived here your whole life, Hayden. Okay, is that what you're actually called? A Nashvilleian? Nashvilleian? Villian? Villian? Am I saying that right? Nashvilleian. I live in a place, I'm a Victorian. I live in British Columbia, Canada, in Victoria. One of the most beautiful cities in the whole entire world. I live in, and we have great music here too. Not quite as good as Nashville, I don't think. But anyways, let's continue. I think again, sometimes, oh, no, that's not this case. I was like, oh, there's a Canada connection. No, that's a different case I caught today. I don't know if we'll get there, but Also, what is Mr. Spitzman drinking? Is that like soda or something? Dundonian, Nashvillian. Thank you. Oh, no worries, Lisa. I get going and not going all the different times. Don't you worry about it. We do it live and dirty here, live and dirty. I'm wearing exactly one makeup item today. So I'm not a big makeup person either, Sashina. Oh, and Courtney's having lazy chips and salsa. And Bluebell Fudge Pops. You missed Bluebell. She was here earlier. If you scroll back to the beginning of the stream, the dog was here.
Most of the time, 95%, I live here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. When you were asked if you were going to see a therapist on March 11th, the following Saturday, why did that leave you to feel concerned?
Because nobody have access to know what's my schedule,
Objection,
especially
Judge.
in the
Asked and
future.
answered. We're repeating the same thing.
I'm going to allow her to respond to this question.
So
Okay.
nobody have access to know my future scheduling, even my parents. So I'm living in fear that how would anybody to know that I'm going to do what and when?
Okay. Do you text with your therapist confirming appointments?
Yes.
Okay. And this is actually going to be just for marking sake, Judge, I'm going to mark this as exhibit.
He does look like that guy from Veep. Oh my God. I like her earrings. To each their own. I don't personally, I have a problem with how Mr. Shaw has his diplomas. Listen, if you got 4, you should be able to fucking line those up properly or hire somebody to do that, but they crooked.
Exhibit 6, but it would be the first one I'm entering. It's just one I haven't provided, which came to my attention this morning, but it's quite obvious. I'm showing you.
Has this been submitted to the clerk? Because
it hasn't. If I can I screen share? I can send it to the clerk right now. And I can do this at the end.
Judge, if I haven't seen it before.
Interesting point, Hayden. Close to 5 hours one way to travel to a therapist is a lot. Also, we find out later, and I'm just gonna say this right now. We find out later this is mandatory from the church. Again, forgive me. Oh shit, I have to set a timer. If I don't do that, we're fucked. So seriously, we don't really do church here. So the idea that a church would be like saying you must attend this counseling in order to continue to go here is just odd to me, a little so odd. But later on, she actually references that it's a court order from the church. Shit. Now am I? No, I'm not. I think this is. We better just keep watching because I mix up the cases, but no, I'm pretty sure that's what's happened. So, I guess because they're separated, in order to get divorced in their church, they need to undergo this type of counseling. So again, and here's the thing, I'm all about people's religion, their choice, their freedom of choice for it. It's apparently an Egyptian Coptic church, if I recall correctly. It's not Utah. This is Georgia, but Nashville. But if I recall correctly, it's an Egyptian Coptic church. And I think the main thing that they're not making them go together, which is good. I would be very worried if they were making them do. I don't have an Alexa, Brian and Kimmy. I should get one, but I don't have one. But yeah, so just keep an eye out for that. But she's at least doing individual counseling, and they're not making her go with him. But I believe that it's some church requirement. As usual, I'm not a lawyer.
Or
I'm sure you'll be able to digest it. It's quite simple.
Well, I'll ask you to send it
not
to Mr. Shaw and to the clerk at the same time,
I will, Judge, and that's my fault. It was one I just
and
missed.
she can testify as to what it is.
Okay.
Just generally,
And I'll
because this is not
send,
an evidentiary hearing as to the order itself.
I understand. So, you indicated that you texted with her. What do you text? You text to confirm an appointment? Do you text about your concerns, or what are you texting about?
I text her just to confirm the appointment, and every meeting I meet with my therapist, we schedule the following meeting in the future. The therapist doesn't even use electronic. She doesn't use anything except for a notebook. I am the only person using the electronic to save the stuff on my cell phone. So for example, if I'm meeting with my therapist in February, I already know when is my schedule with her the next month. That's why I was shocked, and I don't know how to express my feeling when I was asked last time when I was in the court that if I'm going to see my therapist in the weekend, and nobody knew, because anyway, every month we meet in a completely different pattern. It's not the same exact date every month.
Okay. All right. And so outside of text message, is that the only way you communicate with your therapist about confirming a meeting?
Correct, or by calling her if she has any information that she needs to share. And I raised my anxiety to the therapist after the court last time, and I asked her if she shared any information with anybody, and she's a nun. She worked for the church for free, so it's double layer of security. So she send me an email and a letter that I already submitted that say 100% nobody ever know when we meeting and what we talk about. It's very confidential.
Okay. All right. And whenever the court gets that Exhibit 6, if they could, Ms. Broom,
Right.
if you
What
could.
email did you send it to? Miss Broom
I
might
sent
have
it
been
to Ms.
asking me.
Broom and I CC'd Mr. Shaw.
Perfect.
okay, I haven't received it yet.
That's okay. Whenever it does, and we'll keep going. All right. So that's the issue with the therapist. You indicated that there was another issue that came to your attention about a Ring camera.
And
Hold on.
just 1 second before we go to the Ring camera, I just wanted to raise one thing that happened.
Actually, just before you do that, I would like to speak about something. What I've gone ahead here and done is pickled the green onions in a little bit of rice vinegar with some salt. Touch of MSG, don't worry. And that is what you do first. Those are going to pickle and are part of the beginning part of this. Now I'm going to go ahead and make the gochujang sauce. So gochujang is a Korean red chili paste that is so delicious and has this really addictive and unique flavor to it. If you've never tried it, I got this at Walmart. You can absolutely find it in your grocery store, and super cheap and packs a huge punch. It's amazing on rice, which is what I'm going to be serving it on. And the way that we're going to make this sauce is to mix a combination of the gochujang and sesame oil and soy sauce. And that's going to mix together, and we'll do that first, let it sort of permeate while I mix up the rest of it. Normally with this, you can serve this with ground beef, and very simply done. Oh, med check, Sashina, thank you so much. So med check, guys. What that means is if you take meds, go ahead and take them or think about taking them. If you don't, come and tell us what that's like in the chat, because we'd like to know. You can tell I didn't take any meds today, literally. So what you do with the gochujang, you mix them together, and it's delicious. I literally totally got off track there. That's okay. Oh, normally I do it with ground beef. You do the ground beef simply with garlic and soy sauce, finished at the very end, and that would go on top of the rice with the vegetables I'm making. However, I'm doing it for me, and I decided to do tofu today. So I'm going to do it with a tofu garlic soy sauce, and then we will and the sauce. But you can do it with very many things. It's very, very simple. And I believe this whole thing is called bibimbap. That's only because I watch a lot of Korean Englishmen. So. Anyways, let's continue to watch this case, and I'll keep you guys up to date on the food as well.
In the court the last time that I was accused why I'm going to see this particular therapist and why I'm going to Nashville, Tennessee to the same church. It's pretty much because of our bishop.
Object, Judge. There's not a question before the witness, number one. Number two, everything that we've discussed in the last 5 minutes through Ms. Morgan was argued in Mr. Spiesman's closing arguments at the hearing last time.
Okay, so I'm gonna sustain the objection as to non-responsive. If Mr. Spiesman wants to ask a question, he may. But I'm gonna overrule the other objection just to allow them to present the evidence that they say warrants reconsideration. But again, we're not relitigating everything. But if they say something's new, I will allow them to present that. Go ahead, Mr. Spiesman.
Yes, sure.
Thank you, Judge. I mean, that was the issue that I wanted to bring to court as it relates to the therapist. So, Miss Morgan, do you own a Ring camera?
Yes.
All right, and where in your home is the Ring camera fixed? Is it a doorbell Ring camera? Is it some other Ring camera?
I do have one at the door outside.
Right. And did you install that before or after you and Mr. Morgan split?
After.
Okay, and while he resided in the home, was that Ring doorbell affixed to the outside of the home?
No, we never had any Ring camera during our 10 years of marriage.
Okay, and did you ever have an open conversation with him about getting a Ring camera?
Never.
Once the Ring camera was installed, at any point in time, was Mr. Morgan welcomed or invited back into your home?
Absolutely not.
Okay. At the hearing of the original PPO hearing, were you asked a question by Mr. Shaw related to a Ring camera?
Yes.
Before being asked that question, had you offered any information or evidence or indicated that you owned a Ring camera?
No.
Okay. And once you were asked that question and later were able to reflect on the hearing, what did that question lead you to believe?
That I'm still under surveillance and somebody's still watching me, watching my moves, and still know everything about me.
Outside of it, if someone coming to your physical location of your home, would they, to the best of your knowledge, would they have the ability to find out that you have a Ring camera?
Objection, speculative.
To the best of her knowledge,
what
Judge.
Someone might know or not know of what's outside of Miss Morgan's home.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. And as it relates to, all right, in addition to that, a few more questions. Do you have a Walgreens account?
Yes,
Objection.
I do.
Now we're what?
Getting into beyond the scope of what was argued in the opening statements of what this hearing was going to be about. Regard to Walgreens accounts and all of that stuff.
All right, Mr. Spiesman.
Judge,
I do have case law to back up that objection as well.
Judge, I mean, again, first of all, the first time this all went down, we exceeded the scope of the original hearing that Mr. Shaw and his client didn't even show up for because they presented no evidence. The questions related to Walgreens is that Miss Morgan.
I know what Walgreens is, guys. It's I'm laughing though. Because we are going to see the Walgreens receipts and I'm going to have to use Larry Beaver to block some of this shit out. But hi, Georgia Peach. Hi, Vaughn. Hope you guys are doing good today. This does get a little bit daylight. I'm dying laughing at the hearings. There used to be a like, that sauce tastes great, by the way. There used to be a sort of rumor when I was going to school, like the size of your hoops was the size of your hoo-ha. If you know what I mean.
Morgan's account was used at a Walgreens in the immediate location of where Mr. Morgan lives.
All right. So let me ask you this. What time period are we talking about?
This occurred on
1st.
June. She got an email on, let's see, June
1st, the Thursday.
So ma'am, I really need
stop.
you to let your attorney to speak for you.
Okay. Judge, on June 1st, Ms. Morgan received a notification that her Walgreens account was used at store 7076 1301 Bell Road in Antioch, Tennessee, which is precisely within a couple mile radius of where Mr. Morgan resides.
But this is something that allegedly occurred after the hearing. Is that right?
That's right. Yes, Judge.
Okay, so I'm going to sustain the objection as to this information. I understand unless you're the other things I'm allowing because they're new information that may have been around at the time. If you're arguing things that are new acts, those almost would be grounds for possible stalking, but not necessarily reconsideration of a hearing that's already been held.
Okay.
And I know that's some mental gymnastics there, but
Not really. I mean,
Do-
I
do you-
understand it, Judge. I get it.
And Judge,
Okay.
just for the record, I know we don't have a court reporter, but if those lines of questions are more along the lines of an evidentiary hearing, where I think we would have a right to be prepared for, have our own witnesses to, contest those whatever the Walgreen allegations.
yeah, so this is just what
The Walgreen allegation. Doesn't he sound like he's been like woken up from a party that he went to last night? He's wearing the absolutely same outfit that he was wearing last night when they went out. And there's a girl passed out. This is all absolutely, in my opinion, allegedly not true. But there's a girl passed out on his couch in the office there. And his assistant had to rush in and wake him up and remind him about this hearing. And he is having a hard time. He was at a kegger. That's right, Jonathan. I think that's exactly right. Yeah. He sounds always like he's, I don't even know. I don't even know. He sounds like he's always delayed, like whining, I guess, a little bit. All right, let's continue.
whether there are grounds for me to grant reconsideration based on some newly discovered evidence that would have been relevant at the time of the hearing.
That's fine, Judge. I'm aware.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Yep. And I guess I can circle back to that exhibit I had, Judge, that I think Ms. Broom indicated was prepared.
All right, Ms. Broom, thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Morgan, what is this document?
This is a text message between me and the therapist confirming the appointment that we already have it on our schedule a month before the appointment. And this is a confirmation a day or two before our meeting.
Okay. And was this captured directly from your cell phone?
Yes.
Was it edited, altered, or changed?
No.
Are you the white bubble responding? Confirming, is that you that says good morning, yes, God willing?
No, I am the blue.
Okay, sorry, good morning. So you're the one that's confirming the appointment?
Correct.
And what's the date of the appointment that you're confirming?
The appointment was at March 11th, and I'm confirming it a day before at March 10th.
Okay, I move to admit, Judge.
All right, any objection? Okay, it's admitted without objection.
Thank you, Judge. Okay. All right, Ms. Morgan, I'm going to show you what's been marked as exhibit number 1. Ms. Bruno, if you can pull that up, that was exhibit 1 we provided to the court.
If you're new here, this is Larry Beaver. He provides a Beaver buffer dam when there are documents that YouTube Daddy doesn't want me to show. If you see Larry Beaver, know that it's for YouTube Daddy.
That is not my exhibit 1.
That's actually my exhibit 1 from last time.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. One moment.
Okay, no worries. A lot of exhibit 1s to balance.
Thank you, Ms. Byrne.
And it was marked as Exhibit 1?
Yes, ma'am. It was the email I sent yesterday. It was Exhibit 1, I believe.
Yesterday.
Yesterday, guys, Credence and Mikey has totally
You
come
want me to
through. Well,
resend
let's
them
be
right
real.
now?
Hold on.
Um,
I'm sorry. It's Mikey, not Credence and Mikey. It's Mikey that has come through in the clutch with the video that they did already on this, which I will link in a moment when I have my hands not garlic. But thank you again, Credence and Mikey, for the original case. That will be great to watch. Anyways, let's continue on. Larry is just jumping at the gun tonight to help. Usually I'm like, Larry, hurry up. But tonight he's just early.
I can, just to make life easy, I can send them.
yeah, because if you send it, yeah, I'm not showing any that was
No problem. I send them to the CS, whatever it is.
CF room. Yeah, send it to the CF room because they may
Okay.
have not put it in Odyssey.
Okay. You should have them momentarily. All right, well, we can get to some testimony and then I can administer. So, Ms. Morgan, did you ever learn of any kind of phone numbers being either linked to you or you being linked to any phone numbers that were not your own?
No.
Okay, now you had provided me with exhibit that has a specific phone number on it and has dates on it. And the phone number 614.
Cell phone number since 15 years.
Objection, Judge. Similar objection to last time, which is, again,
Literally suck it, dude. Why are you reading phone numbers off into the record? I caught it. Oh, feels so good.
and going back to what new evidence that related to the hearing that we had, it seems to me we're getting into phone numbers and how they're connected to either parties. This is all new information that, and again, Judge, my citation is the case law that Mr. Spiesman cited in his motion, which says no party or plaintiff or defendant is permitted to stand his case before the court on some of its legs and fail, and then set it up again and rest, and then bring up subsequent arguments later, basically getting a second bite at the apple. Things that weren't argued, they're trying to get into that now, and running into an evidentiary hearing.
So I am hearing evidence on whether that second bite is warranted, not whether he gets a second bite based on the evidence that he's showing today. Now, depending on what the timing is of this, I haven't heard enough yet. So I'm going to overrule the objection at this point because I haven't heard where this is going. So I'm going to overrule the objection at this point and allow Mr. Spiesman to proceed.
Thank you, Judge. All right, Ms. Bruno, if you can put Exhibit 1 on the screen, please.
Has it been tendered in?
Well, I gotta lay a foundation for it, don't I?
Okay.
I mean, I gotta put it up there. Ms. Morgan, what is this document?
This document, I was informed by the private investigator that my phone number still listed under Mr. Mina Morgan, and it does have the dates.
Okay, and why is this relevant for your allegation of surveillance?
Because I'm still fearing and being under surveillance that my only phone is the one that can give access to my future appointment, to my past appointment, to my life in general. And that's the only device or the only way that somebody can have access to know everything about me.
So are you testifying? What are you testifying about your phone? How's it connected to Mr. Morgan, to make it clear for the court?
So my phone number, which is the 615-720-2731.
You dumbass!
Morgan.
Objection,
And
Judge.
it
We're
does-
getting into the content of a document that still hasn't been tendered into evidence. I have an objection to it being hearsay, it being generated by a party that's not here as a witness.
I have a fucking easy solution though. Get a goddamn new phone. Get a new phone, get a new goddamn company, move along. Seriously. Is this not a very easy fix? I really don't understand. Get a new one. If you need a court order to break your contract with the fucking phone company, like, this seems weird to me. I'm so mad when people touch themselves online. I'm trying so hard. Using Larry, I'm here, but I'm also cooking. Okay? Stop saying your phone number is on the internet.
There's no foundation that's been laid. There's no authenticity that's been laid. And it's hearsay, and we're getting into the contents of it with dates and numbers and that sort of stuff.
Okay, Mr. Spiceman?
Judge, I mean, it's not being admitted as hearsay evidence. It's being admitted as an indication and supporting documentation that was created based on there being a commingling of phone numbers that allows Mr. Morgan to still have access to Miss Morgan's information.
So this was commingling in October of 2022, which is that what she say?
Yeah, during the period of the TPO, and
Okay.
we came to find out that it was.
But didn't
commingled.
the private investigator testify? And my understanding from the last hearing is that they were no longer connected as far as anyone knew.
Yeah, we found out that her phone number is still actively connected to his Verizon account, which stands for the proposition that there was continued surveillance during the hearing that we had no knowledge of, which then connects the dots as to why he would know that she has appointments with therapists and things of that nature, because he's still surveying them.
Okay, well, I'm going to sustain the objection as to the admission of this document, just because I'm not sure that she can authenticate it.
Understood.
But go ahead.
I understand. Ms. Morgan, do you believe that Mr. Based on the contact that you have had and the information that Mr. Morgan has retained, do you believe that your phone number, have you confirmed that your phone number is still associated with his account?
Yes, my phone number is still associated with the account.
Okay, and have you taken measures, meaning contacted Verizon to get that removed?
Yes, I did that in the beginning of the year of 2022, and I thought it has been removed. But after what happened in the court the last time, I have been trying to get more information how my phone number is still under Mr. Morgan.
And have you confirmed through communication with Verizon that your phone number is still accessible to Mr. Morgan's account?
They weren't able to give me any information since I don't have access to Mr. Mina Morgan family plan. They couldn't give me any information.
Okay. All right. Ms. Morgan, within the scope of the original hearing, is there any other information that you would like to testify to that was apparent at the last hearing, but not, I guess, available at the last hearing, but not shared with the court?
Yes, Mr. Shaw was accusing me that I'm not fearing Mr. Mina Morgan, and I'm going to see the same therapist that he goes, and I go to the same church, which is absolutely incorrect. I go see this particular therapist.
Objection, Judge. All of this could have been argued at the last hearing. I think it was argued in closing arguments.
Okay.
Mr. Spiceman may not have redirected Ms. Morgan about it, but this isn't new information that they learned about since the hearing.
So I think that's going to be my determination to make, and whether I grant this or not. So I'm going to overrule the objection and allow her to make her statement.
Yes, Judge. Sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Spiceman.
I think that you were testifying, Ms. Morgan, to information that would have been available, not argued, but learned later, related to the court's inquiry.
Yes, I'm still in deep fear from Mr. Mina Morgan, and the main reason I go see this particular therapist in Nashville, Tennessee, because that was a court order from the church to go see this particular therapist, because she's the one who covered the whole Southeast. And I'm still fearing even to be in the church. This therapist doesn't do Zoom.
So, story time. I used to work for a large US phone company called AT&T. You may have heard of it. the funniest part about that was that I worked in Canada, obviously. I'm Canadian, but it was specifically forbidden for us to talk about being Canadian. And in fact, in Victoria, in our city, like this was a big employer, like 1,200 employees, but you had to lie, and they covered it in training. You're not allowed to say you're Canadian. If anybody asks you specifically and you can't avoid it, you have to say you're just north of Seattle. So just north of Seattle is sort of the funny part about that. But here's the thing. This would be very simple to check as as an employee of the company, as Verizon or whatever, because when I worked for AT&T, I mean, you pull up somebody's account, they're old. They were old type screens. It was like DOS-based system. And I used to do business customer service for military customers that were military. And so we often did we would put holds on plans for free because they were going on deployments, different things like that. So I worked in billing and in tech customer service. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. I would give people a little test when they called in. If for tech support, they'd say, "Hey, I need help with my phone." I'd be like, "Okay, no problem. Is it your phone that you're on right now?" "Yes, it is." "Okay, well, go ahead and take the battery out of the phone," and then boom, they would drop off the call. And then they would figure that out, put the battery back in, and probably call back. But the likelihood of them ever getting connected to me again would be very slim. So that would be the way I sort of dealt with dealing with dumb people. But I will admit that one time I accidentally completely cut off somebody's phone by accident. I didn't exit out of the screen beforehand, and the person that I was dealing with afterwards wanted to cancel their plan, and I went through and I cut the line of the person before. And I remember there was no way we could get a hold of them. There was nothing. All of a sudden their phone just stopped working. It probably was a nightmare to sort out. But anyways, I definitely informed multiple people that their spouses were cheating on them via different apps that I had to report they were using on their phone plan. This was in like the 2000s, the late 2000s. Anyways, but the reason I stopped and said that is because it is true. If you called in and you weren't part of the plan, then I'm not going to give you any information. But if you were, you could get it. Anyways. Hi, Charles. Hope you're doing well. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you've all clocked in for your shift. And just to let you know, it's going to get a little fiery in here shortly. Mr. Shaw is about to have words with the judge.
Doesn't do phone call. I have to go in person to see her, because in our church, in order for us to be separated, I have to go through the therapy for a year or a year and a half. That's the main reason I go see this particular therapist. And I'm still in deep fear every time when I go over there, because I am just afraid what will happen to me over there. And I don't even have enough time even to stay with my parents, because I'm still in deep fear from Mr. Mina Morgan.
That's all that I have, Judge.
All right, Mr. Shaw, you may cross-examine.
Thank you, Honor. All right, Ms. Morgan, you claimed that you went to go see the therapist at your church in Nashville, Tennessee, right?
Yes.
And you just claimed that only you and that therapist knew about the dates that you would be going there. As far as you know, those are the only two people that would have known that. That's what you claim.
Yes, and my phone.
And your phone?
Yes, because
it would be recorded in your phone, you mean? And there would be a calendar for it. Your therapist would have various other notes for it, right?
I put everything on my calendar on my phone.
And your therapist would obviously also have it on her calendar. She would have it on her notes. She would have it on her phone.
The therapist is an elderly therapist and she doesn't use electronic, and she already confirmed that with me, that she put everything on her note, writing everything with pencil, and it's double locked, that nobody even have access to her office.
She told you that it's all double locked?
Yes, so she locked it in a safe, plus she locked her office, so nobody ever have access to her office.
You don't know for sure if she shared that information with someone else or not. You don't know that, right?
She wrote me a letter that Mr. Spiceman can share with the court, that she confessing and saying nobody have access, and she never shared any information with anybody, especially she's a nun from the church, plus she's a therapist, and we already have a contract between me and her that we don't share any information with anybody.
Okay. And there's other people at that church as well?
No.
So at that church, it's only that therapist? There's no one else that runs that church?
Well, every time when I went to see the therapist up until today, I never met anybody. Nobody ever met me except for me and the therapist. There is no service on Saturday. I normally stay in my car until the
No, Miss
therapist
Morgan,
comes
that's
in.
not my question to you. Miss Morgan, my question to you is, there are other people that work at that church other than just that therapist, right?
Probably.
Yeah. And other people and when you go to see this therapist, what days do you normally go? Do you go on Sundays or Saturdays or? Well, let me take that back, because you'll accuse me of stalking you.
Let's
So-
not, sir,
Judge.
Mr. Shaw,
Okay.
that is completely
I'm sorry,
inappropriate
Judge. I was
and
just withdrawing the
unprofessional.
question.
Let me say this.
Well,
the
I
court
am
takes,
being accused of that, Judge.
Sorry.
I am being accused of that.
yeah, and that's concerning as well. But the court takes just let me say what I'm about to say. Regardless of how I rule today, the court takes everything that's going on very seriously, has serious concerns, and does understand that the petitioner is presenting in extreme fear at this time based on the history of the parties. Okay? So please limit the questions to factual ones. Thank you.
Yes, Judge. I'm basically trying to get to the point, Judge, that Miss Morgan,
Objection, Your
on the days
Honor.
that
He's
she goes
arguing.
there-
He's not asking a question.
I'm responding to the judge. That's what I'm doing. I'm not.
So my
presenting evidence
answer is please
on-
ask her a question.
Yes, Judge. So, Miss Morgan, is it your testimony that every single time that you've been to that church, that no one other than that therapist would have ever seen you at that church? That's what you're telling this court?
I haven't met anybody except for me and the therapist. Every single time I met with a therapist. That's correct.
But it's possible that someone at that church other than the therapist would have obviously seen you at that church the numerous times that you've been to that church.
I can't answer that question.
Okay. And you don't know for sure if your therapist specifically adhered to not letting someone know that, hey, you're meeting with her that day or not meeting with her that day. You can't speak for that therapist, right?
I am 100% sure that the therapist didn't share any client information, and she wrote a letter testifying her answers.
How are you so sure that that therapist didn't?
You guys, I'm getting distinct Amber Heard vibes. Is this serious? Like, is he not using the, do you know the Muffin Man defense here? Like, I don't think it's fair. Why would she think that it's possible that like, you can't assume that the therapist is going to tell somebody that that's actually clearly defined in their job.
Not violate that and share with someone, or told even Mr. Morgan that, hey, these are the days that Miss Morgan is coming to this church, so stay away from the church so that you don't get in trouble. And these are the days that Miss Morgan is coming to the church, so you guys don't have any contact, so stay away from the church. How do you know that that your therapist didn't say that?
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered, calls for speculation. I think she's
It's not,
answered that.
Judge.
So I think it does ask for speculation. You can ask her if she knows.
Okay, I'll just move on then, Judge. Let's talk about the ring camera. You claimed that, well, let me ask you this. You were involved in a pretty contentious divorce litigation with Mr. Morgan, right?
Yes.
And that lasted over how long? A year, 2 years? How long did that divorce litigation last?
Is there, Judge, relevance to this? I mean, we're going to.
There is, Judge. I'm getting to it.
All right, so I'll overrule the objection and allow him to, but it may be renewed if appropriate.
How long did that divorce case last, Miss Morgan?
Probably around a year and a half.
About a year or a year and a half. There were multiple hearings that you guys had, correct? You were in court for that? Yeah, you were in court for the divorce proceedings?
No.
Did you have any depositions or any mediation?
Objection, Your Honor. I mean, relevance. We got to hit home with something here.
Judge, I'm 2 questions into it. I'm laying the foundation to my cross with regard to the ring camera.
Okay. All right, I'm going to sustain it once more, but let's get there.
Yes, Judge. So, Miss Morgan, you had mediation, you had several different, meetings with regard to that divorce, right?
Yes.
And a lot of different things were discussed in those mediations and in those meetings and that sort of stuff. A lot of different items were discussed, right? Multiple different items were discussed in those meetings and those mediations, right?
Sure. Yes.
Right.
Just a court nerd weird thing, but aren't all of the frickin' mediation discussions confidential? I thought that was the whole point of mediation, is that you're not allowed to bring what took place in mediation in front of a judge in order to facilitate open and frank communication within mediation without people worrying about it coming back to bite them in legal proceedings. Is that not the entire purpose of mediation?
And the ring camera was one of the things that came up during one of those meetings, was it not?
I am not sure.
Okay, that's all, Judge. Those are all the questions I have.
Okay, any redirect, Mr. Spiceman?
Just very briefly, Ms. Morgan, did you communicate with your therapist related to disclosure of any of your appointments? Did you email her? Did you ask her if she ever disclosed any appointments or any information about your visits with her?
Yes.
Okay. And were you very clear that, I'm sorry, did she respond to you? Did she ever respond and advise whether she disclosed any of your meetings?
Yes.
Okay. And how did she respond to you?
She had
right. What did she do?
Yes, she had a conversation with me face to face because I was under a breakdown state. And I couldn't believe that how come somebody know about my future appointment, especially about my future appointment. And I asked her to respond with like detailed information about the type of business and why I'm exactly going to see her and why I'm exactly have to go to this specific church. And I asked her to give me detailed information with the type of business and what she's specialized in and about the culture and the background. And also
I just want to direct you to the question I'm asking. So did you inquire as to whether she shared any information about your meetings, your dates, your times, your location? Did she share any of that information with anyone?
No.
And
objection, speculative. Whether the therapist shared that information with anyone else or not is beyond the personal knowledge of Miss Morgan. They can testify to what the therapist may have said, which I would also argue is hearsay, but whether Miss Morgan specifically knew or did not know of what the therapist actually shared or didn't share with someone is speculative.
All right, I'm going to overrule it as to, well, that's not quite what was asked, but I'm going to allow him to ask if she is aware if the therapist shared with anyone, because I think that would be legally correct just to move us along.
And so then the final question would be, did she indicate to you that she kept all of your meetings private?
Yes.
And I renew my objection for that being hearsay.
I mean, Mr. Shaw literally opened the door to this, and I mean, with
He
all of
did,
this,
but I mean, she can say she's as far. He did, but that doesn't mean hearsay gets to come in. It is sustained. I'm going to sustain it as hearsay, but I will allow you to ask if she received any assurances that they were private. I think it's clear that as far as she knows, they were private.
Right. Without testifying to what was said to you, did you receive any assurances that your meetings were private and non-disclosed?
Yes.
Okay, nothing further, Judge.
All right. Any recross, Mr. Shaw?
No, Your Honor.
All right. I can take 2 sentences each of argument if desired. I think it's pretty straightforward what's being asked and why. But I'll allow you each a brief close. And Mr. Spiceman, are you going to reserve?
I'll reserve, Judge.
Okay, Mr. Shaw, you may go.
Judging by the 9 minutes left in this hearing, I'm going to say they don't do 2 sentences each. Laughing. After this, we've got another hearing, which will be very good, but I'll let this one play out. I'm disappointed in all the lawyering in this case at this point.
Judge, again, this is completely out of line. These were arguments that were made in Mr. Spiceman's closing argument. We're back here again, relitigating arguments that evidence, testimony that he didn't think of at the last hearing, and now they want a second bite at the arguments that were already made. I cite the very case law that Mr. Spiceman cited to in his motion, Judge, and that's already in there, Claxton v. Adams. But Claxton v. Adams actually cites Perry v. McLendon, that's 62 Georgia 598 604, and that quotes what I quoted earlier, Judge, and so I won't quote that again. It basically says you get to argue everything once. You don't get to reserve certain arguments later and rehash them again just because you failed the first time and then come back and ask the court to rule on arguments that you didn't think of earlier. And it also I cite Judge ROA Motors Incorporated versus Taylor, and again it says the exact same thing where law and evidence that were available to parties when the arguments were made should not be relitigated or allowed to be relitigated under a pretense of a motion to reconsider. That being said, Judge, addressing the substantive aspects of what we heard today, completely just speculation that the therapist somehow, that Mr. Morgan somehow, and the only way he would have found out about all that is through surveillance and tracking and spying, or that somehow I was trying to do that when I was cross-examining Ms. Morgan. Judge, I submit to you that when a party's being accused of stalking or family violence or any of that nature, Judge, parties have a right to defend themselves unfettered by the risk of offending, even offending or threatening. Not physically threatening, I understand that, Judge, but I should be allowed to just cross-examine my witnesses. And that's all I was doing, Judge. And it's completely speculative that Mr. Morgan somehow did surveillance or tracking to find out when those dates were. In fact, Judge, I can tell you right now that it was the therapist that told Mr. Morgan about those dates so that Mr. Morgan can stay away from the church.
This is, I mean,
Okay.
really.
Just
my point is, Judge, it's speculative. It's speculative that is what Mr. Morgan was doing. In fact, I argue, Judge, that it could also be, in fact it was, the exact opposite of that. So that Mr. Morgan would not be around when Ms. Morgan appeared at that church. That was the purpose of us knowing when those dates were. My questions to Ms. Morgan were, you continue to drive 5 hours to...
Hold on, did he just admit that he got that info? That's problematic. I would be weirded out if he used some privilege to get that, because I've been a receptionist before, and The receptionist knows all. She gives out that information to who she decides. I say she because they're all most often a lady. But anyways, that's weird. He shouldn't have got that info. It, yeah. And yeah, throwing the therapist nun under the bus. Yeah, but this makes the next case look mild, by the way.
Nashville, Tennessee, when there were several other Egyptian churches before getting there. And lastly, Judge, about the Ring camera, as I question Ms. Morgan right now about it coming up during the conversations of their divorce proceedings, that is how Mr. Morgan found out about the Ring camera. When I asked Ms. Morgan, did that come up in the divorce proceedings, she basically said, I'm not sure. So they just haven't met their burden. And Judge, I submit to you that this entire hearing today, what we've heard is speculation, leaps of faith, and assumptions. And if there is any fear that Ms. Morgan is experiencing, I submit to you, Judge, that it is paranoia. Since the date of the initial TPO being filed, I don't believe we've heard any evidence whatsoever of Mr. Morgan violating any of those conditions, any contact, any violence, any
This is
threats.
just not relevant.
There's been nothing.
This argument's not relevant, and frankly, it's victim shaming, and I'm not.
I'm not gonna, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean you're not wrong. I'm just gonna say that there has been a history of violence that has been found by a judge between the parties. So I'm going to prevent from getting malaligning other parties. I understand you said that it's all speculation.
Right, Judge. And since that TPO, Judge, I won't comment on that, but since that TPO, there's been no evidence, is what I'm trying to say, Judge. There's been zero evidence of any contact, any violence, any threats whatsoever. So I think Your Honor's ruling was still stands. I don't think that the plaintiff, the movement, has met their burden of reopening this case, and I think their motion to reconsider should be denied, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Spiesman?
Thank you, Judge. Trying to set aside my feelings about how this case was litigated, I'll share with the court that I think when Your Honor made this initial decision and carefully weighed the evidence, this wasn't a landslide. It was quite close. Despite the fact that Your Honor ruled against us, I don't think for one second that Your Honor viewed this to be frivolous, that you viewed my client to be, as Mr. Shaw described it, paranoid. And I certainly think that my client has complete reasonable reasons to be fearful for her life based on a combination of violence and surveillance and audio and video recordings. She's lived in a nightmare. And so obviously, Judge, as you can imagine, when we concluded this hearing, and it was a lengthy one, but we digested all the information and reviewed the transcript, it became very apparent that even Mr. Shaw, and I don't think I'm gonna give him enough credit to do this knowingly, I think that he accidentally put into evidence information that demonstrated that his client was still surveying my client. He would have no way to know of a Ring camera. They did not give you any evidence that supports that he could have knowledge of that unless he drove by that house, but he knew about it. And the only way we even thought about it is after we found it to be extraordinarily coincidental that they knew she had a Ring camera, which was evident in the transcript. So that shows continued surveillance. The other thing that's even more troubling is you have a woman that is traveling outside of state to visit with a therapist, which frankly is a nun at a church, at a specific location at a closed time after hours, yet somehow they knew exactly when her next appointment was. I mean, that is more indicative of continued surveillance than anything. I mean, you can't possibly get that lucky. And so they knew when she appears, they knew when she visited, they knew what occurred, and we provide ample evidence that this therapist who's a nun didn't breach her, her code of ethics and disclose this information to the man that she's indicating she's fearful of the most. So I think that if we're sitting here and we're trying to balance the weight of justice, these two additional pieces of information, which have come to our basically that we've become aware of tilt the scales that show that Miss Morgan is still being surveyed, she's still being harassed, and it's, you know, it's not direct anymore. It's not putting hands on her. It's not actively surveilling her inside her home. It's this passive, ability to be present and to let her know that he's watching without actually letting her know that he's watching. And so each of these additional occurrences, from our perspective, Judge, should tip the scales and cause Your Honor to extend this PPO. And I mean, you know, Mr. Shaw stated there's been no additional evidence of contact or none of that. Well, that's because it was objected to and excluded by Your Honor. And I understand the mechanism and why. We're not here for something new, we're here for something old, but there is evidence of that. And had we got into that evidence, the court would have been further aware that there's communication and contact. It's passive, but you have someone that is dealing with trauma and it's continuously spiking by these contacts. So we're asking that you put this thing in place for
Crystal, no problem. It's literally almost done in less than 1 minute, 50 seconds, but I understand always.
a minimum of 3 years on our motion to reconsider.
All right, thank you. I will reserve a ruling and review the case law presented by both parties and my notes, what I've heard today. Regardless of how I rule, any future acts, I'm certain, Mr. Spiesman, you have her in touch with the victim advocates in her various criminal cases. I think one is online now, as well as nothing that whatever order I end up doing, nothing prevents her from filing in his current domicile, depending on what's going on or happens in the near future. But I am going to reserve ruling at this point, and then I will try to get something filed by Friday.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you all. You're excused.
I hear you, Crystal. We are moving on to another judge, but I'm not going to pretend like the subject matter is going to be any easier. Let's talk about that case, though, firstly. While I find this other one. Hold on, actually. Tofu off. This is, so you have to batch fry the tofu. This is how I would do the ground beef normally. So I gotta do one more round of tofu. Do that in a second. Super hot walk. Okay, so the next case is not Judge Davis, although I do have another Judge Davis case, but that's not the one that I had planned next. The next one, I have not watched the entire thing. I have gotten word that I will need to use. What the fuck? Oh man, the feddies are after me, guys. Rural much, literally. Do you hear that outside? Okay. So this is a warning that this contains children that I will need to be editing out. It's a juvenile, like, CPS case, I believe, in Henry County, I think. But firstly, we're gonna spend a little time seeing what the judge and his assistant deal with. It is not Judge Kim. Not Judge Kim, but juicy as fuck. Daylight. Juicy as fuck. This is current. This was today.
I can only see,
Okay, I can hear now.
I'm trying to figure out how to change where I can see more than one person.
Is it up on the right hand side of the
It does on my laptop, but it's not, well, that may be, I turned the thing to get a wider screen. Maybe that's why I can't see it. It doesn't seem to be giving me any option. Let's see. It's just. Here it is. Let's see. Participants 11. It's down at the bottom. It came up, but now I can't. There it is. I can't find anything that gives me those options. I know what you're talking about. There, well, all of a sudden I have some of them. I apologize. Can y'all hear me?
We can see it says William's iPhone, and then you're like, it's through your phone, and I'm looking at your laptop there. Very strange.
Oh, I've got the screen. I've got the camera going the other way. Well, I'm looking at all of y'all and was looking at me a minute ago. I may have turned my. So, I'm sorry.
Now I'm becoming disoriented.
My laptop is locked down and will not let me in for some. We're trying to get in touch with IT, and I told them I'd get on my phone until they showed up. They went to lunch, so I don't know when they'll be back. They told me to wait 10 minutes and try again, and it hasn't. It's just now about 10 minutes. Now, can you see me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I hit that button in error. I hit it on purpose thinking it did something else. All right, well, I can't see everybody. The screen said I had 11 people on here. I only see 6. So, let me take this call for just a second. I'm sorry. I'm waiting. Well, I don't know what happened to the call. It may have cut it off because I was on Zoom. All right.
So
I'm sorry.
I do believe
So
this
do
goes
we-
on
yeah,
for
I'm gonna have to take
approximately
your
10
word
more
for it if we
minutes.
have everybody because and somebody else will have to. Now, let me get this phone real quick.
And he pieces out. Seriously, I will skip ahead now, but I believe that literally went on for 10 minutes.
Can you tell if she has audio? I have a Trisha Johnson who doesn't have the camera on, a Kenesha that doesn't have
Oh, never mind. Hold on. Also, let's talk about Arisha with the I fuck angle only. This is gold. I actually am going to have to make this into a video on its own, the beginning of it. Write that down.
Well, they told me to wait 10 minutes and I did, and now I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good, that works a lot better. I can see everybody except I have a Trisha Johnson who doesn't have the camera on, a Kenesha that doesn't have the camera on. That's the mom, and Supervisor Reynolds may just be monitoring. And I have Ed Marie Green.
That's Grandma.
You ladies who have hats on, you can't wear hats in the courtroom unless they're religious. garments. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
You ladies with the hats on need to remove the hats in the courtroom, please. Thank you.
Ms. Benz, he's talking to you. I don't know if she heard you, Your Honor.
Can you tell if she has audio? She doesn't have audio right now. I'm going to put her in the waiting room and bring her back and see what that does. And you folks that are in cars, your cars have to be parked. You can't be moving down the highway and participate in a Zoom hearing with me. So are you?
Zooming down the highway, looking for adventure. Sorry, I couldn't resist. This is a fucking clusterfuck, and I'm here for it.
Ms. Benz, can you hear me? I think she got the message. Ms. Kenesha, is your car stationary?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Benz, can you hear us? This is for Ms. Benz.
She might not know how to work the phone.
Well, that's a possibility. We've had a few of those, but I mean, well, what is her relationship to the case? Because I don't have her name in my file.
She's the kid's great grandma. She wanted to speak on my behalf.
And you're the maternal grandmother?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you're.
And my sister is also on the phone. Her name is Trista Johnson.
I don't see her. Oh yeah, I do too. Miss Johnson, you need to turn your camera on, please.
Trying to work it out.
Okay, it says start video or turn camera or start camera.
Do you see me now?
No, ma'am, not yet.
Oh God. Is that it? Allow. No, that's not it. What is that?
Who is Denise Durden? I don't see that person. I just had her name written from the last time we were here. Maybe it was a previous time. Anybody know who Miss Durden is?
I don't know who that is.
Okay.
That's the counselor.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, I don't know how to help these people. You can't participate if you can't hear us and we can't hear you. Ms. Johnson, I have to have people that I can see on video, unless your device doesn't have video. But I've only had one person who didn't have video on their phone or device.
Zoom me.
3 years.
Is my video not on? Oh Lord.
Well, you're on the Zoom. There should be a prompt somewhere about joining the video or turning on your video. Or some of them say camera, but most of them say video.
She have to tap her phone and it'll pop up, and then she just tap on it.
Somebody said tap on the screen of your phone and the little prompt for the video will come up.
Okay.
I know you're trying. I'm trying to help, but I'm not much help.
Oh, here we go. Start video. Oh,
There you go. It's a miracle. Now, if we can get Miss Benz on the line, we may have to start without her. So I can't even tell Miss Benz anything.
Her face is on, but
Yeah, but she can't hear us and we can't hear her. I think the clerk is trying to text her some instructions, but it's kind of hard to tell people when you can't see their screen to know what they're looking at, because they're not all the same.
Okay, we're gonna let that play for a minute. I'm afraid, actually, I'm not going to. I'm not going to, because this is the comedy gold that we come for. This is what we stay for. So I'm just going to do a little blurb about my dinner, and then we will continue watching. Okay. I agree, arbitrary hubris. I do not know how to do that. I have found that to be a problem myself. But guys, this is bibimbap. So rice, it can be spicy. The sauce that I'm using here is it can be spicy, but you can tailor it to your own spice, and it's like a fermented spice, so it's addicting, even if you don't like spicy. Anyways, okay. Also, you have to finish with these pickled green onions, which you pickle at the beginning. So that gives you this really nice, like, occasional vinegary bite within. And oh my god. Fuck. It's like I run a kitchen show. Shit, that's good.
See, I'm on a laptop. My clerk is on a desktop. Some of you are on phones, some of you are on desktops or laptops or tablets. So they all work a little differently. Where is your case manager, Mr. Scrivani? You're muted. You're muted. You were muted. I didn't hear anything you said.
So she was here. She got kicked out. She may be in the waiting room.
She's not. I didn't see her at the beginning. Was she here when I started?
Yes, she was basically, you could see her from like her eyes up, and that was about it. Unlike the Miss Reynolds, who only I can see the very top of her head. There you are.
Well, she doesn't let us see her very often, so it must be a special day.
Is Ms. Lambton in the office, Lakeisha? Can you maybe go down the hall or whatever?
I'm not in the office.
Oh, okay.
There is apparently a bomb-ass hearing coming.
Can you call her and find out what's going on? Thanks.
I've now skipped ahead 2 minutes. 3 minutes.
You're muted. We
4
can't hear
minutes.
678 429.
Shut the fuck up. No, oh my god. That was close. Jesus Christ. We'll skip ahead.
6.
No, Judge.
Was literally filed the Friday afternoon before court. And so that would give the parties time to confirm about that. And so we're back to try to finish the evidence on the review and the emergency motion. So let me swear everybody in again. Ms. Green, Ms.
Yes.
Reynolds, Ms. Douglas, Ms. Johnson, Ms. Lampton.
Ms. Kitchen.
If you folks could raise your right hands, and Ms. Benz, we can't hear us. So do each of you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony and evidence you're given the matter would be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Do each of you?
Yes.
Unmute your mic so I can hear you. I didn't hear but one person say yes.
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 All right, be sure to speak up. Thank you. Now you can mute
Yes.
your mics because I need only one person speaking at a time. Please do not, if you hear something you don't like, or maybe you do like, don't speak out until you're recognized. So the only person speaking should be the lawyer asking the question to the witness and the witness then answering. I'm the only one who gets to butt in. All right, Mr. Scribble.
That might be true when you go live, Judge, but when we go in the kitchen, I can butt in all I want, baby. Plus, you literally just took 21 minutes to start this hearing. Y'all be time wasters.
Ronick.
One preliminary matter, Your Honor, that I did want to raise to the court. Apparently, Ms. Green is at her place of employment. There was some, I guess she works as a hairdresser or something like that. And there was somebody in her chair. Now, I know these hearings are open to the public, but I just wanted to make the court aware of that was not necessarily a private. So I don't know if the court wanted to inquire into that or not.
I'm finished.
Okay. I think that takes care of it.
All right. So I call Ms. Lampton, Your Honor.
Sure, go ahead.
Ms. Lampton, unmute your microphone. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Arisha Lampton.
Ms. Lampton, where are you employed?
I'm employed at Henry County DFAC as a FPS case manager.
You're going to have to speak up. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I am employed at Henry County DFAC as a FPS case manager.
Okay. And how long have you been with Henry County DFACs?
Since February 2023.
Did you work for the Department of Family and Children's Services prior to coming to Henry County DFACs?
Yes, I have.
Where did you work previously?
I've worked as a contractor with Rockdale County and Polk County.
Rockdale and what other county?
Polk County.
Polk?
Polk. P-O-L-K.
Damn, I thought she said Fulton County. I was going to say, stay out of Fulton County, folks.
And how long were you working as a contract worker for those counties?
For both counties, 6 months each.
Consecutively or at the same time?
It was separate.
Okay, so you had like a 6 month with Rockdale County, 6 months with the other county?
Yes.
All right, so you've been employed with DFACs in some capacity for roughly 1.5 years.
Yes.
Okay. And when you were working in the other counties, was that also as a family preservation services worker?
That was as a foster care case manager.
Okay. And were you assigned the case for the Blackwell and Douglas children when you became employed here at Henry County DFACs?
Yes, I was.
When did you take that case over?
I took the case over in February when I started.
All right, February of this year, right?
Yes.
All right. And I believe you were the case manager for the previous judicial review that we had on this matter back on March 13th of 2023?
Yes.
Okay. Now, with regards to the protective order, this is for the issue of the review that I'm going to be talking about first, and then we'll get into the emergency motion in a second, okay? The mother, Ms. Douglas, was to follow the recommendations from her domestic violence, parental fitness, and psychological evaluations. Has Ms. Douglas done that?
Yes, she has.
Were there any of the recommendations that were from her assessments that she had not completed up till this week?
The recommendations have been completed.
Okay. All right. The next requirement under Ms. Douglas's protective order was that she was to keep the children in their placement with Ms. Edmarie Green and not be permitted to remove the children from that placement without further written order of this court. So let me ask you about that. Did you recently learn that Ms. Douglas and or the children may have left the home of Ms. Green?
Yes.
When did you first get notified of that?
I was first notified in May that Miss Douglas had been staying with a friend with the children.
That she was what now?
Staying with a friend.
And that was when?
In May of 2023.
Do you remember when in May?
I don't remember the exact day. I have to look at my notes.
All right. So when you got that information that Ms. Douglas and the children may have been staying with a friend, did you make contact with Ms. Douglas about that?
I did make contact with Ms. Douglas. I had asked her for the contact information of that friend, and she wasn't willing to give me that information for the friend.
Okay, but who was not willing to give you that information for the friend? Ms. Douglas?
Ms. Douglas.
Okay. But what I'm asking, my question is, did you have a conversation with Ms. Douglas, the mother, in May when you found out that she and the children may have left the home of Ms. Green?
Yes, I had a conversation.
Okay. What did Ms. Douglas tell you at that time?
This is very odd to me because generally CPS be real sticky about who's got the kids, and like she reported to you that the person who shouldn't have the kids just came and took the kids. It's very confusing. And the only thing that makes sense is that Supervisor Reynolds is in the matrix and unable to communicate with us normally. Because, I mean, this seems like something, isn't it June 14th? Could they not have held a hearing in May about this if somebody actually took the children and absconded? And we're going to find out that she has done that.
About why she and the children had left the home.
Ms. Douglas had reported to me that her mother had kicked, the maternal grandmother had kicked her and the children out of the home. And
That's fine. I'm sorry. And when you're saying maternal grandmother, is that Ms. Edmarie Green?
Yes.
All right. Hang on for 1 second here. I gotta pull my. All right. And were you able to verify in any way that Ms. Douglas and the children had in fact left the home of Ms. Green? In other words, did you go to Ms. Green's house to see if the children were still there after you had that conversation with Ms. Douglas?
The visits that I had with Ms. Douglas, she would come to the office, as she would say that she's not at the home.
All right. Then here recently, last week sometime, did the mother disclose to you something different about what had happened with her and the children?
Yes, she had explained to me that mom had in fact only kicked her out. So Miss Green had only kicked Miss Douglas out, and that the children could stay in the home.
Okay. Did you contact Ms. Green about that?
I did.
All right. When were you able to make contact with Ms. Green about that?
I was able to make contact with Ms. Green on Friday.
Friday of last week?
Yes.
All right. And what did Ms. Green report to you, if anything, about where the mother and the children had been living?
Ms. Green had also stated that she had asked Ms. Douglas to leave the home, but that the children could stay.
Okay.
Well, tell me, you've learned in early to mid-May that mom and the kids were gone. Why did it take over 2 weeks to get in touch with Ms. Green to find out what was going on?
No, I had spoken, the last time I spoken to Ms. Green was last Friday, but I had spoken to her prior to that as well.
To confirm that she had kicked them out or not kicked them out or what?
Yes, to confirm that initial conversation after I had spoken to Ms. Green, I had, spoken to Ms. Douglas, I had contacted Ms. Green, and she did say that she had asked Ms. Douglas to leave the home.
Okay,
And
because
that she was trying to sell the home.
it sounded like you were saying that just last Friday you found out that Ms. Green only kicked out the mom and not the kids. But you already knew that?
So there was conflicting information from both Ms. Green and Ms. Douglas.
I understand Ms. Green told you she kicked everybody out. I mean, Ms. Douglas said she kicked them all out. But when did you first find out from Ms. Green that that may not be true and that she only kicked the mother out?
I only found out that she had only kicked out just the mother just last week when I had spoken to Ms. Douglas.
But how much time passed from the time mom told you they'd been kicked out before you talked to Ms. Green about what she contended happened? It sounds like it's been 2 or 3 weeks.
No, when I spoke to Ms. Green initially after Ms. Douglas told me that they had been kicked out, that was the same day I had spoken to Ms. Green.
Okay. Well,
at that time, Ms. Green stated that she had asked for Ms. Douglas to leave. She wanted her and the children out because she was trying to sell her home.
Okay, good. My confusion is earlier in response to the question, you said you couldn't remember when in May that you learned that she was not there, which made it sound like it'd been some time had passed, but now putting what you've said now together, it sounds like you learned last week. Is that right?
No, I learned last week that it was just Miss Douglas that was kicked out.
And that's what I'm trying to figure out, how long it took you to find out that from when you were first told by Ms. Douglas that they all had been kicked out.
So initially I had talked to Ms. Green the same day I talked to Ms. Douglas. So it was the same day. In that conversation with Ms. Green, she stated that she had asked Ms. Douglas and the children to leave because she was trying to sell her home.
Okay.
No.
Do not interrupt. Do not interrupt. Mute your mic, please. Do not do that again. I told you at the very beginning, don't interrupt. If that happens again, you won't be in the hearing anymore. You'll get your turn in a few minutes. I'm sorry, maybe I'm missing something, but last Friday was June the 9th. It was not in the month of May. And if you talked to them the same day, how did you find about it in May and then didn't talk to them about it until June?
So when the question was asked about Ms. Douglas reporting to me that she was kicked out, that was in May.
Okay.
I spoke to Ms. Green in May as well about her being kicked out. In that conversation, Ms. Green had reported to me that she had asked Ms. Douglas to leave with the children because they were destroying the home.
All right. So you've had 2 conversations and Ms. Green relented about the kids and said they could come back last Friday.
Yes. So she clarified with me on Friday that
but she admitted that she initially kicked them all out because she was trying to sell the house.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Skowronek.
No, Your Honor, it's perfectly fine. It's confusing. So then, now, did you have a follow-up conversation this week with Ms. Green where she told you something else?
Yes. So another conversation was had with Ms. Green in asking Ms. Green if she would be able to take the children while Ms. Douglas was able to get herself together. In that conversation, Ms. Green stated that the department needed to take the children because that would help Ms. Douglas get herself together.
Okay. What did she tell you, though, about where Ms. Douglas and or the children had been living since the middle of May?
She explained to me that the children, when she came home from her vacation, that the children were at her home. But Miss Douglas was not at the home at the time when she came home. So the children were by themselves at that time. So the children have, it's been reported that the children have been there and then that the children have not been there to the department.
Now, did Ms. Green report to you of having been out of the country for a period of time when you spoke to her most recently?
Yes.
Where did she tell you she was?
Jamaica.
Did she tell you how long she had been gone?
She did not.
So if in fact Ms. Green and the children were back in the home, excuse me, Ms. Douglas and the children were back in the home, Ms. Green was not there for at least some period of time.
Yes.
All right, let's go back again. At some point after you had spoken in mid-May with Ms. Douglas about her and the children having gotten kicked out, did you have a chance to talk to the children about where they had been living?
Yes, I did get a chance to speak with the children.
What did they tell you?
They had told me initially in that May conversation that they had also been living with a friend of mom's. The friend was mean to them and they did not like being in that home.
Did the children report to you as to having lived in the car with the mother or having spent the night with the mother in the car anywhere?
Yes, so my most recent visit with the kids, they did report to me that they had lived in, or they had slept in the car with mom in a Walmart parking lot.
All right. When was that conversation with the children?
That was on the 6th of May. Of June.
6th, I'm sorry?
The 6th.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did the children report to you during that conversation how many times they had been sleeping in the car in the Walmart parking lot or sleeping in the car anywhere else?
They did not report how many times.
When you had that conversation on June 6th with the children, did they report to you ever having gone back into the home of Ms. Green after having been kicked out in the middle of May?
Yes, they did report that they have been staying with grandma as well. That they have been staying with grandma, that they have been staying with a friend, of mom's friend.
Did they report to you, did the children report to you that when they were in the home of Ms. Green, that Ms. Green was there every time that they were there?
They did not report that.
Okay.
Did you ask them?
I did ask because I also asked them about the relationship between mom and with Miss Douglas and Miss Green.
Okay. So you asked them, when you were at your grandma's, was she there all the time? And they said no?
I asked them, has grandma been here? And they said grandma's here sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. And when you had that, well, let me ask it a little bit more broadly. When you spoke to the children after they had gotten kicked out of the home of Ms. Green, and most recently when you spoke to them on June 6th, did the children report to you any concerns about the way Ms. Douglas, the mother, was behaving?
The children did report that they had noticed or saw mom crying a lot, which were their words. They saw mom crying a lot.
Did they give you any kind of frequency or how often that may have happened where they witnessed that?
No.
Okay. All right. Prior to the mother and the children being asked to leave the home of Ms. Green, had you had an opportunity to go and visit with the family in the home of Ms. Green?
I did.
Did you observe the living area of Ms. Green and the children?
I did.
Did you have any concerns about the living area of Ms. Green and the children during your home visits?
Yes, the area where Ms. Douglas and the children were occupying was unorganized and dirty.
Excuse me. After Ms. after Ms. After Ms. Douglas and the children left or were asked to leave the home in mid-May, did you attempt to reach out and contact Ms. Douglas as to where she and the children were residing?
Yes, I had had conversations with Ms. Douglas trying to clarify where she was exactly. And she would only say, like, I'm not in the home. I'm not there. And I would try to get her to tell me where she was. I mentioned the friend, and I said, you know, if I need to have the contact of the friend if the children are there. And she said, well, I won't go there anymore, so you don't have to worry about that. So I never did get any clarity of where she was staying consistently.
Okay. How many different conversations would you say you had from the middle of May till now with Ms. Douglas, where you've asked her to provide you information as to the whereabouts of herself and the children?
Between mid-May, probably 3 or 4 conversations with her.
And until last week, did Ms. Douglas ever tell you anything about the location of the children being in the home of Ms. Green?
Until last week, she told me that, last week she had told me that they were in the home. Prior to that, she was saying that they were with her.
Okay. And again, did she ever disclose to you where with her was, like either in a hotel or in an apartment or living with a friend?
I'm very confused. I've watched a lot of CPS cases, and you guys tell me if I'm crazy, but they be so serious about this kind of shit. Seriously. I mean, I've seen them take away kids for much less than this. Seriously. I've seen judges be like seriously fucking hard on family and take away their right to even be involved again for saying they can't be a placement anymore. Never mind freaking actually giving the kids to the person who's being under investigation. Hi, Tin Man DMC. Hope you're doing well. If you're new here, make sure you've clocked in for your shift. Do that by hitting that like button. Let's continue. But regardless if it's a continuation or of an ongoing trial or not, CPS holds wide powers to maintain the safety of children in placements, such that they could have emergency hearings very easily if the placement was dissolving. Like, I've heard that happen a million times. So it's very odd to me the lack of concern that is occurring on the side of the department. Generally, this type of thing is like, really big deal when a placement falls apart and the kids are taken back by the non-custodial parent at the point. Like, maybe I'm not, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but like Texas CPS is what I watch quite a bit, and Texas is like serious. Shit, I've seen some stuff. Where is this? State of Georgia. My love, Georgia. Um, Seriously, it's Texas would not be handling this like this. Who knows what the ending that they use at all Texas CPS hearings is? I'm required to remind you that your parental rights are subject to termination are subject to further restriction or termination if you are not both willing and able to provide a safe and suitable environment for your children. Do you understand?
friend and, you know, an address or anything like that?
No,
Did she ever tell you anything about the kids are with me? We're, you know, sleeping wherever we can?
no. She would just say they're with me.
Okay. All right. During this case, did the department also provide therapeutic services to Ms. Green at some point in time?
Yes.
All right. And was Ms. Green successful in completing those? Hang on. That's okay, Ms. Reynolds, Ms. Schrock. She's not a party, so whatever. Your Honor, I just wanted to make sure Ms. Green has apparently dropped off.
Okay.
My question was, I lost my train of thought, but I think my question was, did Ms. Green ever successfully complete the therapeutic services that the department had put into place for her?
She did complete them.
Okay, my understanding was she was discharged due to non-compliance. Is that not correct?
That was for Ms. Green.
I'm sorry.
That was for Ms. Green.
That's what I was asking.
Oh,
Ms.
okay.
Green.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm getting.
Did I not? If I didn't say that, I apologize. But I meant to ask as to Ms. Green.
Yes, Ms. Green was discharged.
And what was the reason that Ms. Green was discharged?
She stopped engaging in services and stopped responding.
And was that on or about May 8th of this year?
Yes.
All right. Let's see here. So that under the initial protective order, the mother was to pursue stable housing and provide the department with proof of her efforts to obtain that.
Protective order, the initial protective order. So is this like a case where there was domestic violence happening and because I've heard of that before where they have rules. I'm so confused. Seriously. In Texas, I mean, they'll be like, yeah, no problem. We'll find someone for your kids. Actually, didn't we hear a case recently where a cop was explaining that he got paid $500 a day extra to babysit CPS cases where the kids don't have places to live, like at hotels and shit? Yeah. It was in one of Judge Webster child support cases where the cop was talking about his extra jobs.
Housing during every 2 weeks. That was from the initial protective order that was put into place in January. Has the mother ever provided you, since you've been the case manager, Ms. Lampton, with any proof of having obtained her own housing?
No.
During the time that this protective order was in place, did Ms. Douglas provide you with evidence of her efforts to locate housing on her own?
No.
At this time, does the department have any current evidence that Ms. Douglas has housing that is sufficient for herself and the children?
No.
Did Ms. Douglas complete the parenting education services, including the online everyday parenting course?
No, I don't believe she completed those courses.
Okay. The next goal was that Ms. Douglas was to obtain and maintain stable employment. What has Ms. Douglas reported to you recently about her employment?
She did report to me that she had quit her job with BP gas station, and that she has been trying to obtain employment, going to job fairs and applying for different jobs.
Okay. Has Ms. Douglas report? Well, let me go back. You said she quit the BP job. What did she tell you about why she quit that job?
She told me she quit the job because she felt like they were going to fire her over something bogus.
Did you inquire any further as to why she thought that?
Yes. So she stated that there was an incident where she was stalking, using a stool And she got reprimanded by the manager for that.
How long was she employed there? Do you know?
No, I can't remember how long she was employed there.
I think when we were in court in March, she was employed at that particular gas station because we had made that report to the court.
I'm sorry, how do you not know that? Again, that is a very basic thing. Your CPS worker should know when you've had a job. If she knew that you got fired or you quit it, you should know when you started it. Where's your goddamn file, lady?
At the March hearing. Do you know when she quit that job?
That would have been in May when we had the conversation. So when we had the conversation in May.
Had that job roughly at least 2 months at a minimum.
Yes.
Hi, Shane. Nice to see you.
All right. What has she told, has Ms. Douglas told you, if anything, about how she is, you said she's having problems getting employment. What has she told you about what the problems are or the barriers to her getting employment?
Ms. Douglas states that her biggest barrier is because she has a felony record and it is becoming hard for her to find employment or finding employment that works with this schedule that she needs.
So what, if anything, is Ms. Douglas doing as far as employment since she quit the job at the BP at Locust Grove?
She reports that she does Instacart.
Did she give you any proof as to how much she earns doing Instacart?
No. And she stated that whatever she would be able to provide would not show that she's working 40 hours.
Okay. All right. The next goal, just as I'm going kind of combining these things, but the next goal of her case plan was that her and Ms. Green, the mother, were to allow the department reasonable access to the home and the children up until May, the middle of May, when mother and the children were asked to leave. Had the mother and Ms. Green been compliant with that portion of the case plan?
Yes.
And then the mother and Ms. Green were to cooperate and follow any and all recommendations from the department and return all calls and messages within 24 hours and notify the department of any changes in address and phone numbers. And I think you've kind of talked about that already, about the issues of trying to get, where the mother was located and all that. So I'm going to move on then to the next part. In the emergency motion that this department had filed, one of the allegations is that there was an incident involving the mother and her probation officer last Tuesday, I believe, on June 6th of 2023. Did you get some information about the mother having an incident with her probation officer?
Yes. I got an investigation case that had came in regarding mom threatening suicidal ideations while with the probation officer.
Okay.
And what date was that?
The 6th, May 6th. I meant June 6th. Oh, I keep saying that.
June 5th?
June 6th.
6th.
Yeah.
Okay. Last Tuesday, Monday. No, Tuesday.
I've got it Tuesday, Your Honor, but
That's right. That's right. I can't count. I was trying to count backwards from the 9th, which I knew was Friday.
Did you have anything else, or should I continue?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So after you got that report about the mother having suicidal ideations, did you go out and make contact with the mother at some point?
I did. I spoke.
Where did that?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Where did that take place? Where did you make contact with her?
At the grandmother's home.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Was Ms. Green in the home?
Ms. Green was not in the home.
Okay. Do you know how mom happened to be in the home on that day?
Mom stated that her brother had let her in. When I arrived to the home, I asked her if Ms. Green knew that she was in the home, and she stated she did know.
She did or did not?
Did.
Okay. All right. Did you have a chance to discuss with Ms. Douglas the concerns that the department had about her having threatened to harm herself?
Yes, so I had spoken with her and asked her what was going on, and she stated that she either wanted to die or go back to jail because of the stressors that she was dealing with.
Okay. And did you attempt to involve mobile crisis as part of that?
I did. I had her to call into GCAL and speak with a clinician.
Okay. And was the mother 1013 as a result of her threats to harm herself?
She was not 1013. However, she was given resources based off of the stressors that she stated she was having.
Trisha Johnson, listen, lady. There's only room for one kitchen court lady, and it's me. What are you doing? That's a great shot, though, I have to say. She's got the perfect setup for that kitchen. I'm laughing. This is not funny. This is a very serious situation. As always, these are serious, but I think 1013 is probably the same as 1070 or 5150. Somebody's going to have to check that.
And who provided those resources to her?
The GCAL clinician.
All right. Did the department also provide any kind of resources to Ms. Douglas?
The department has.
What did you provide?
Based off of the stressors that she provided to me, I did send Ms. Douglas a link to for housing. I also, because it had opened back up, and I had also sent her a job that she could apply for that was a warehouse job due to her stating that she didn't want to work around people. So I did supply her a job for her to apply that would allow her to work there with her background.
Should I go on, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
I never know when you're thinking about whether to ask another question. That's what I'm asking.
I'm sorry.
So just when you were saying that you gave Ms. Douglas a referral for housing, and had you given that information to her previously as that being a potential referral for her to try to find housing?
Prior to me getting the case, I was told previously that she had been given different resources for jobs and housing.
Okay. All right. And as a result of the mother and the children's whereabouts being unknown, and until the mother having had a crisis situation on June 6th, is the department asking at this time that the protective order in place be modified?
Yes.
And is the department asking that as part of the modification that, well, let me back up before I get to that. Have you verified that the children are in fact in the home of Ms. Green currently?
I have tried to verify if the kids are in the home currently, as I did get another text message from Ms. Douglas late Monday night stating that Ms. Green had kicked her and the children out of the home.
But you've not been able to verify that.
I spoke with Ms. Green that she did not kick her and the children out, that she had only asked Ms. Douglas to clean up behind the children. Ms. Douglas got upset and left with the children. And Ms. Douglas did confirm that she returned back to Ms. Green's home around 1:30, 2 o'clock that morning so that the children could sleep.
But the answer to my question is you have not actually laid eyes on these children in the home of Ms. Green?
No.
Have you attempted to go out to the home of Ms. Green since we were in court on Monday?
I have attempted. I did see them in the home on the 6th. I did contact Ms. Douglas again to meet with her, and at that time she stated that she was not going to meet with the department because that was a waste of her time.
But again, my question was, have you since Monday of this week tried to go out to the home of Ms. Green physically to verify that the children are there?
I have.
Okay. And were you not able to get into the home, or what happened?
No, it wasn't that I wasn't able to get in the home. Miss Douglas was not there at the home.
And was Ms. Green not there either?
Miss Green wasn't there either.
Okay, guys, before we get further on, I did try and get a little bit of research done earlier, and I skipped through a little bit of this to try and figure out, and I was listening to it, and Nana walked by, and I'm just gonna tell you that Nana very much agreed with the grandma in this case. And let's just say I'm going to clean up the kitchen after making dinner tonight just to avoid any Nana nightmares. But I just want you to know that when we hear from the grandma and her bitching about the people not cleaning the house, Nana was like, literally, "I understand." It's like, Nana, okay, please.
No, I didn't see any cars in the driveway, or I rung the doorbell. No one answered.
So what attempts did you make to try to get into the home? Ring the doorbell, knock the door? What did you do?
Yes, well, I just ring the doorbell.
Okay.
Ring the doorbell, see if anyone comes to the door and answer.
Did you see or hear anything that led you to believe that there might be somebody in the house?
No, I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear the girls. I didn't hear any noise.
So then have you had a conversation with Ms. Green here most recently, since the mother reported having left the home and then having returned back with the children, about the children remaining in the home with Ms. Green?
In the conversation that I had with Ms. Douglas, she did not state that the children would be living in the home with Ms. Green. In that conversation, Ms. Douglas stated that she was leaving the state of Georgia.
That wasn't my question. My question was, and I know we're getting confused, it's been going on for a while, but my question was, did you have a conversation after this incident on Monday where Ms. Douglas got upset, left the children, then came back home in the early morning hours to Ms. Green's house, apparently sometime early morning yesterday? Have you had a conversation with Ms. Green about whether or not she's willing to keep the children in her home?
Yes, so I did have a conversation with Ms. Green, and she stated that she would be willing to keep the children in her home.
Okay. And is the department asking that the protective order be modified? It says it to some extent, but that the children are to remain in the home of Ms. Green and not be removed from that home until there is a written order of the court.
Yes, that's correct.
Are you also asking that the mother undergo a psychiatric assessment, which I got from Ms. Reynolds just a little while ago, but is the department asking for the mother undergo a psychiatric evaluation?
Yes.
And follow the recommendations, if any, from that?
Yes.
All right.
Didn't you tell me earlier that this week Ms. Green told you that they needed to go to defects custody?
No, Your Honor. That was the staffing that the department was going to have to determine whether or not they were going to ask for removal. It is my understanding, and Ms. Reynolds can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but that the department had spoken with Ms. Green, who was indicating she was willing to allow the children to remain in her home, and that at this time that the removal of the children from the custody of the mother was not warranted.
But I thought that the witness testified earlier that the grandmother during sometime since last Friday told the department that the department should take custody so mom could get the help she needed. She said, somebody said that. Who was it? If it wasn't Ms. Green. Did you tell me that earlier?
Yes.
Yeah. And when did she tell you that?
She told me that when I had spoken to her on Friday.
Okay, so she's changed her mind now. Monday, she says they can stay. How about, can mom stay, or does mom have to stay out?
No, so she will keep the children, but mom has to leave.
Okay.
Should I continue, Your Honor?
Yes.
And then are you asking that the mother attend and complete parenting services and individual therapy as may be recommended for her?
Yes.
There's also a request that the mother is to obtain, provide proof of her income, which is already part of the protective order that's in place. But then the department had also made a request for therapeutic services for the children. What do those encompass?
A BA for the children, to work with mom and the children on addressing behaviors and things like that.
How are they going to work with mom and the children if mom's not in the home?
Well, initially, that's what we were going for as far as trying to get the services for the children to address behavior. So that would be with, at this time, if they go in the home with Miss Green, that would be with
Okay.
Miss Green.
All right.
And Your Honor, I think that if the court were to modify the protective order and to include that, what I think normally we would anticipate happening is that if the mother undergoes her assessments and her therapy, at some point in time, there being unsupervised visits or something like that, or the mother may be allowed back in the home of Ms. Green, where you could potentially put those behavioral aid services into place.
Okay. And Ms. Green would be expected to participate in the behavior aids.
I have not.
Okay, go ahead.
And Ms. Green is apparently back on the Zoom.
Yeah, I've tried to say.
Is there anything else that the department was asking for from Ms. Douglas in this case, other than what we've discussed up till now?
No.
And I just want to clarify, you said that the mother reported to you recently that she was on her way to New York?
Yes.
Okay, do you even know if Ms. Douglas is in the state of Georgia currently? Because right now her Zoom is on a call, in a car. Do you know where she is currently?
In that conversation, and to answer that question, no, I don't know if she's in the state. But in the conversation that we had regarding her going to New York, she stated that she was reaching out to her father that lives in New York to see if she could go with him, live with him in New York. And if that was not the case, that she was still leaving the state of Georgia and going to a different state.
So what was her plan with regards to the children? I mean, you know, how is she going to work her protective order if she moves to New York? Did you have that discussion with her at all?
I did have a discussion with her on her plan as far as what does that look like as far as having the kids and daycare and work. And she didn't have a plan leaving.
I don't believe I have any other questions for Ms. Lampton, Your Honor.
Ms. Crane?
No, Your Honor, no questions.
Ms. Schrock?
No, sir, no questions.
Do you have any other witnesses, Mr. Scarani?
Hold on. I walked away for a moment because I order in, breakfast wrap. We serve all day breakfast in this kitchen. Excuse me. Yeah, that's chatter. Okay. Did they say, how are you going to work your protection order? Like, work your services? It's so weird to me, the language in this. I'm going to have to watch more frickin' Georgia CPS cases. Figure this shit out. And mom is on the Zoom call. She is the car fabric one where Larry is flashing right now. Larry is there because the children are also in the car, unfortunately. They are listening to all of this. And at some point, they do pop in. So that's why Larry is at the ready. And I'm like trying not to run away because I'm like, shit. Oh, breakfast sandwich. Or breakfast wrap. Gotta make that.
No, sir.
All right. Ms. Crane, do you have any witnesses?
Your Honor, can I back that up for 1 second? I do need to ask Ms. Green just a couple of questions.
Okay. Ms. Green,
Yes,
you were
sir.
with us when I put everybody under oath, weren't you?
Yes, I was. Mhm.
Okay. Can you turn your angle your camera just a little? Yeah, there you go. I could only see the very top of your head. Thank you. All right, go ahead, Mr. Scrivonic.
Okay, Ms. Green, go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Edmary Green.
Ms. Green, how are you related to Skylar, Amber, and Taylor?
Their grandmother.
And you are the maternal grandmother? You're Ms. Douglas's mother?
Yes, sir.
Where are the children currently?
I have no idea.
Did you report to the Department of Family and Children's Services that the Ms. Douglas had brought the children back to your home early Tuesday morning, late Monday night?
Yes, when I talked to the lady, I told her when I came out, I seen the car back in the driveway.
And were the children in the home?
Yes, they'd be in the room. Mhm.
Okay. When did the children leave your home?
So anywhere from yesterday when I went to work, when I came to work, because they wasn't back in the home last night.
Okay. So when you went to work yesterday, were the children and Ms. Douglas in your home?
Yes, sir.
Have you heard from Ms. Douglas at all since yesterday about where she and the children are?
No, sir. I don't never hear from her. She don't talk to me.
If Ms. Douglas were to return the children back to your home, would you be willing to allow the children and not Ms. Douglas to remain in your home while Ms. Douglas tries to get herself situated?
The kids can come, but she cannot come back.
So you would be willing to have the children in the home?
Yes, sir.
Right. I don't think I have anything else for Ms. Green, Your Honor. That was what I just wanted to clarify.
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Green, Ms. Schrock, or Ms. Crane?
No, Your Honor.
No, sir.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Scrivonic?
Nope, that's it, Your Honor.
Ms. Crane, you said you had no witnesses?
Well, Your Honor, I don't.
I have some questions for Miss Green. I have some questions. What protectiveness is she really showing to these children when she is unsure of where they are? Like I'm all confused. Maybe it's because I'm low on coffee or something, but everybody seems pretty unperturbed by this situation, and I'm quite perturbed. I'm perturbed. Coffee's on, though.
I believe I do. I'm actually a little confused because when we were here last time, I had a brief conference with the department, and I thought that we were coming back today because the department needed to know how to proceed based on what I told them. I'm not really sure how we're proceeding at this point.
Sounds like they're seeking a modification of the existing protective order and continuing jurisdiction with the court.
Yeah, I understand that part. I think there was some question as to whether these children were going to be taken into care, and I was kind of waiting to see if that was happening.
Well, that was mentioned by Ms. Green, according to the case manager, but it sounds to me like the department wants to beef up and modify its protective order to avoid having to seek removal at this time. I don't know. Is your client asking
Your
us to
Honor,
remove the children?
Your Honor, as far as I understood yesterday, I don't believe that my client is interested in continuing services with the department. She said that what the emergency motion had requested that she reveal the location of the children and that she continued to cooperate with the department. It's my understanding she does not want to cooperate with the department and that she's told them that the children are living with Miss Green, which to me sounds like we're not really sure if they are or not. And so that is why I'm confused, because if the mother is not going to participate in services, I'm not sure what the department is doing.
Well, I had planned to ask Mom what her intentions were when we got to a point, but I wanted to see if you had any witnesses, either your own client or anybody else you wanted me to hear from.
I don't believe so at this time, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Schrock, you were starting to say something?
It just sounded like we were kind of maybe getting to a point that we were wrapping up. And I just wanted to be sure to step in to say that I wanted to be heard on, I know what the department is asking for, but I just wanted to be sure that I would have the opportunity to weigh in on what, my recommendation is for the children.
But before you give me that, why don't we've got the Ms. Green just testified and she's told us what she would like to do. She brought her, I think she said Miss Johnson is her sister. I don't know what she has, but she's been here the whole time. And Miss Benz, I'm not sure I ever got the relationship with Miss Benz, but we supposedly got her audio working. So let me see if they have anything to be of help to us. Miss Johnson, unmute your mic. Thank you for waiting. You got to unmute your mic. You got to push the button on your computer or your phone so we can hear you. We can't hear you. There should be a little microphone, and right now it has. There you go. There you go.
Leave the door, please. Okay, this thing been going on for a very long time. It's not to say we want her to be without her little girls. 3 little girls, it's a girl family. But she has lived with me before with them. She has lived with my mother before with them. And the main issue is cleanliness. Ain't nobody asking her to be super clean, but anywhere you live, you got to clean up after yourself. If you cannot contribute financially, we're here to help her financially, but she needs to be stable. She need an evaluation to find out what's going on with her. I'm not saying she don't love her kids. She loves her kids, but she can't care for them the right and proper way. You need to provide for them. You need to keep them safe. These are little girls. You can't have them all over the place. Can you just imagine their story that they're going to tell later on in life?
Grandma, are they not going to say, yeah, my grandma kicked us out because my mom wasn't clean enough? Maybe you're missing that part. Maybe you think that they'll see it differently. But at this point, I hear what she's saying, but I'm sorry, the protectiveness is missing. If you think she can't care for the children under your supervision, why in fuck would you let them go with her? Why wouldn't you be on it to CPS every second after they were gone? Why wouldn't you call do you know what I'm saying? Like, Ika, I'll be right there.
And she's the one, we're willing to help, but we cannot help with her keep coming back and traumatizing them.
Thank you. Anybody want to ask Ms. Johnson any question?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. How about Ms. Benz? Did you want to share something relevant to the case?
Yes, sir.
Are you related to Ms. Douglas and the children?
Yes, I'm Miss Douglas' grandma, the children great grandma.
Okay.
I'm Miss Green mom.
Okay.
And the time before the last time when she was in jail, I got the kids and I was taking care of them. I was training them in the right way. And she came out of jail and asked me if she could stay there with me. So after they had lifted her probation where she could see the kids them, I told her yes, because the kids, they love her and they misses her. So I let her come to my home. But I said to her, I said, only one thing I'm asking of you, please keep the room that you and the kids are in clean. And when you use dishes, wash them. You don't have to do nothing else. Just keep the room clean and the kitchen, when you use anything, just wash it. Because as I use anything, I wash them.
This is the part where Nana started saying, Amen. Oh, I understand. And I'm like, yeah, Nana.
And she came and she kept that room like a pigsty. And I didn't say nothing. I said, I'm watching, you know. And I watched till like about 6 weeks. And I couldn't take it no more. The place was so nasty. It was stinking. So I said to her nicely, I said, Kenisha, could you please clean up the room? I will help you. The girls will help you because I've been training them to clean up, and they were doing that. She undo everything I did. She cussed me off and took the kids and left. Every time you talk to her about cleaning up, she cuss you off and take the kids and leave. And then she tell people that you put her out. You tell her to leave. And, you know, everywhere she goes, she's just nasty. She leaves a trail of mess behind her. And that's why she can't have a job. That's why she can't have no apartment, because they put her out after a while. The jobs, why she can't keep a job, she is stink. She don't take showers. And nobody want to be around her. Nobody want to smell her. She is not telling you all the truth. Her mother.
Miss Benz. Miss
Yes, sir.
Benz. Please don't yell. We can hear you. But listen, how long ago was that when she left your house?
She left last year, May 19th. May 19th of last year, 2022.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. Anything else?
She needs help. I don't know what's wrong with her.
Party. So sorry for me. Also, seriously, MB, right? Like the motivation, I can imagine that if this is how they are talking about her in court, imagine what they actually were saying to her face. I'm sure it was super motivating. Just super motivating.
Mentally, she needs help. And then she always threatened to hurt herself. Always been doing that.
Well, those are, I'm not a doctor, but those can very well be serious signs of mental illness, the hygiene issues, the depression, the hopelessness, all those things they're things that can be done.
Wow. Thank you, Judge. Fucking, who would have thunk it that the most with it person in this whole fucking Zoom call was like, hey, that sounds like she sounds pretty depressed. Y'all are getting on her like she's stinky and lazy and slob. Like, yeah, you know, thank you, Judge, for bringing it back down. It's not cool. The kids shouldn't be involved in this. The problem is the woman who is clearly suffering from mental health crisis is not entirely to blame. There are people on this screen that are paid money to make sure that these children are safe. They're already in the system. The system has been initiated. They are in the system, okay? And so I'm not mad at her. I am mad at them because they should be stepping in. They should have been working this plan way differently. Where is her counselor? Where is the person that she's checking in with every week, working on her support system? Where is all of this happening? Because you're throwing money at this problem, supposedly. I mean, there's a caseworker, there's a lawyer, but and I'm not saying they were staying with Trisha Johnson at this point. They were staying with Miss Green at this point. I'm talking about the DCFS people. That's what I'm talking about. The people that do not seem concerned at all of this situation. They should be more concerned about her mental health and the children's well-being than I believe they are. I didn't hear any urgency in the voice of not only their attorney, like the attorney right beside me here, I believe is the attorney for mom, and she's the only one that sounded a little concerned, and she's the one that was like the should be representing a client. Hi, Cherry. Thank you. Okay, let's continue. Yeah, Ika, are you done? What are you looking at?
She's got to
Right.
help. But anyway, thank you for sharing with us. Did anybody have any questions for Ms. Benz about what she's told us?
No, Your Honor.
I would just ask for the court to make inquiry as to Ms. Douglas, Your Honor. Number one,
I
is
am.
where
That's-
the children are. And number two, if she's willing to bring the children back to the home of Ms. Green.
Ms. Douglas, I can't see you. I don't know if I'm looking at a light fixture or a roof or.
Car seat.
Oh, it's the upholstery in your car. I'm sorry. I couldn't tell what it was. What did you want me to know about your case, Ms. Douglas?
That basically all these folks are lying because my mom just kicked us out Wednesday, and she my kids just went to the bathroom, but you can ask them. She definitely just kicked all of us out. She said, "Oh, it's dirty in here. All of y'all need to go."
Wait a minute. Wednesday.
And then
Today's Wednesday. Are you talking about?
sorry, the day before or whatever. But I do make them clean up every time after their self. Like, you can ask them. Like, you can ask my kids. I make them clean up every
Are the
time
kids
after their
with you
self. 'Cause I
now?
don't want to hear nobody. Yes,
All three of them are in the car with you?
yes,
Where are you?
in the car
I know, but where's the car?
at a gas station.
Is it in Henry County?
No, it's not.
What county is it in?
I don't know this county. It's not in Georgia.
Okay. Well, were you planning to bring the children back to Ms. Green's house? Like you
No,
said?
because why would I bring the children back if my mom wants them to go to defects? Because if she keeps kicking us out, me by myself, my kids included, whatever, I'm pretty sure she'll take them to have y'all pick them up or whatever. So I'm not doing that. Yeah, and whatever my grandma was talking about is false because she came and attacked me with the Alka-Seltzer bottle, came to fight me. And it's I've never said I'm going to harm myself. I still have yet to say that I'm going to harm myself. So all of these folks are lying. That's why I don't talk to them. Like you heard my mom say, I don't talk to her. I do not talk to them because they are full of shit. Really, I'm sorry. Excuse my language. All of them. I'm sorry. But yeah, they're all full of BS.
Well, if you've never threatened to harm yourself, how did you end up talking to the crisis intervention people?
Because I said I wanted somebody like the cops to shoot me or something.
Well,
That's what I said.
Well, isn't that suicide by cop?
Nope, that's homicide. But anyway, if
that's
my
not what
family
they
was
call it.
here, if my family was here for me.
Holy shit. Wow. This is very concerning. Oh my God. I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned. They didn't handle this very well, and they're not even concerned at all. I'm the fuck? So nuts. Hi, Mayor, by the way. Hope you guys are all well. Thank you for punching in. Make sure everybody else is clocked in for your shift tonight. by hitting that like button. You know how it goes. Ika, really? Yeah, good med check time, absolutely. MB, she does sound a titch manic. However, they didn't even mention that. So that would be completely out of left field. She could just be in an absolute panic because she's on the run with her kids. Um, ah, I'm obviously not a medical professional, but I'll tell you right now, I have probably if the same, if not more qualifications than the CPS worker lady, at least. And I would be really fucking losing it. I can't understand. They didn't even seem to be concerned about this. She's not even in the fucking state.
Why is this my first time hearing it? Because I have yet to hear, oh, you can come to me for help. You can do it. No, like it's no help in this family. They're all for themselves. They all have their own problem. Everybody in this family needs mental evaluation because one's an alcoholic, one's a fake Christian. One, like, it's no good in this family. That's why I'm like this, because you see this generation above me is horrible in themselves. I don't know. Like, it's all BS. Like, I make my kids clean up after they stuff. Like, probably not the room, but I'll still straighten up the room. But the living room and the kitchen, every day, I'm telling my kids, clean up after yourself. I do not want to hear grandma's mouth. I don't want to hear her husband's mouth. So I do make them clean up after themselves every day, and I do clean up with them. So that is false. Like, it's a lot of lies, and I really don't want to deal with it. Like, I don't want to go to therapy. Therapy is not helping. Therapy, it's not even therapy, it's anger management. And they're constantly telling me, oh, what you're thinking is wrong. Oh, you need a relationship with your family. No, this family is toxic, dysfunctional. Like, there's other suicidal people in this family. So exactly. Like, it's a lot. So no, I'm not listening to all of these lies. Like, and then I'm not gonna have my children with my mom because I'm actually struggling to be with my kids. I can't work like I want to. I want a warehouse job, but I'm doing Instacart and Uber Eats with them because I need to make money to feed them. Like, no, all this stuff is lies. Like,
how are you doing Instacart driving up
like,
the highway and sitting in a parking lot?
You
at a
said what?
gas station. How are you doing Instacart with your kids in the car?
Instacart is worldwide.
I'm sorry?
It's worldwide.
It's worldwide. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So where you are now, you're doing Instacart? You got groceries in the car to deliver now?
No, I'm not doing anything because I have to be on here with y'all. Yeah, I said I can't drive around, so I have to stay still, which is a waste of time. Like I told whatever the defects lady name, I'm not doing therapy because that's a waste of time. I have to stop what I'm doing it's stopping me from making money, which I need to provide for my children. Like,
so how much money do you have now?
I mean, my account is still in the negative, but it's enough to provide gas and food for my kids. And I'm getting a room today.
If it's negative, how can it provide anything?
Because it's a spot me, it's time, so I can still use it while it's negative. Like I have I think it's a negative balance of like 160 I can use. Well, I can still use the money, but it's still going to be negative until I pay it back. But,
okay, I don't
and that's
understand
all.
That. Is that a credit card?
No, it's a debit card.
Is it a food stamp?
No,
food, they don't call it.
It's time. It's a bank.
Okay.
It's a bank card. But you can ask my children. My my egg donor definitely kicked all of us out. Said y'all all need to get out. Like, it's full of lies. And then she's moving next week, like she claims. So where are they going to be then? Like,
well, I'm more concerned about where you and your kids are going to be.
We're fine.
I don't
They're
believe
more
that.
fine with me than they're fine with these other folks. I can tell you that.
Well, I don't think they're fine with you, unfortunately, Miss Douglas.
Well, I'm sorry to hear it, but
And our conversation hell is convinced me even more so that you're in desperate need of assistance, financial assistance, emotional
okay, well, that's how
assistance,
you feel.
and
I agree, Shane. I think that she is definitely going through a mental health crisis, but I also think some of what she's saying is true, and that what we've heard from her family has been absolutely atrocious support, if you want to call it that. They might think they're helping, but they aren't. And again, you know, whatever. That's just my theory. Larry Beaver is working hard to try and keep these kids out of it. Again, nobody seems as concerned as I am. I want to get her help, but I don't know, not through her family. That's obviously not going to work. So getting them housing on their own would be a great start. Like, that's what I can think of. If they're not feeling like they need to remove these kids, then get them some housing, temporary transitional housing.
I need some financial assistance. That's what I need. Like my mom said she was going to get a place in her name for me, help pay half the rent or whatever. Then when I asked her, oh no, I think you need to do all this first. Like it's always like that. I come ask for help. Say what?
somebody's got some interference. Mute your mics, please.
I try to come ask for help to get a place because I know a place is required to close this case.
But we're not ready to close this
it's
case.
no help.
Ms. Douglas,
So,
we're not ready to close this case. So,
yeah, I'm sure you're not.
all right. Appreciate you sharing with me.
Mm-hmm. And you can talk to my kids if you need to, because they could tell you how they was right there when my grandma came attacking me, because we were definitely cleaning the room. Like, y'all talking about cleanliness. I clean up after them. It's not how y'all want it to be clean, probably, but I definitely clean. Like, I'm really not understanding. Where you going?
All right. Ms. Schrock, did you want to be heard?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to give my recommendation when the court was ready for that.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, I'm very concerned about these children. We don't know the whereabouts of the children. She stated she is no longer in the state of Georgia, but stated that she's unwilling to divulge her location and the children's location. That, of course, I think gives everybody great concern. These children are 5, 8, and 9 years old. We've heard evidence that mom is continuing to have challenges with her mental health, her stability. We have had a protective order in this case, and the protective order is very lengthy and has, several requirements under it. One of the most important requirements under the protective order was that the mother was not to remove the children from the grandmother's home, which she has done in blatant violation of the protective order. I don't think this protective order is meeting the needs of the children at this time, and the children need to come into the custody of the department. They need to be in DFACS custody, and the mother needs to immediately divulge her whereabouts to the agency.
Okay. Anybody else wish to be heard?
Your Honor, the department cannot take custody of children. We don't know where these kids are. We have no way to take custody of these children at this time. The department is not asking for custody. We are asking for Ms. Douglas to bring the children back so that Ms. Green again can assist the mother by caring for the children while Ms. Douglas gets situated, gets housing, gets her a job, whatever it is that she needs to do, and that she addresses her mental health needs so that she can have these children back.
I'm sorry. What in the mother of God? Have you ever heard Texas CPS say that? Texas CP, oh my God, Texas CPS was like, will, like, seriously, what? I've never heard that. The ad litem just basically said these children are in danger. And the department, oh, I can't, I don't know where they are. Okay, there's a phone. Call 911. Like, I'm really weird. I'm baffled by this situation. Usually I am not all about. Yeah, Judge Webster would have helicopters deployed for this one. Judge fucking Manning would be losing it. I mean, what? I am really not about government overreach. I really don't like it when they take kids away for no reason. I'm again concerned that they are in the system already, and whoever is protecting these children is not doing that. Texas CPS would absolutely have taken these children already. The minute that the placement was compromised, basically, Texas CPS operates a lot like a freaking spy agency, seriously. And I'm like, wow, you guys gotta chill it down a little bit. But in this case, I think there's some warranted, like, we need to get moving on this. And Mr. What is your name? Skowranic?
With her as soon as possible. But as far as custody, Your Honor, no, the department is not asking for that, and I don't believe that that would be appropriate for this court to award custody of children to the department where the whereabouts of the children, the whereabouts of the mother are unknown, and the mother has reported she's no longer even in this state. We would have no way to take custody of these children with their whereabouts being unknown.
Anything else?
I don't have it. Shit, I spilled that. I don't have any faith in it either. Spock. Search for Spock. And like I said, I am almost always very, very, like, pro-parent, let's say. You'll hear me talk about it. This county, wherever it is, could throw the money that they waste on these cases at early childhood intervention and have such better results, but they just can't seem to get away from this weird punishment phase. But that's not exactly what's happening here. What my main concern here is these kids are already in the system, and this system is failing pretty miserably. He may be purposefully trying to do that, but his words are being weird. Where is Henry County, Georgia, right? Anyways, also, this is the burrito, breakfast burrito that I just made to order for my daughter. I do love her.
The court will modify.
Well, let me just add, Your Honor, that the mother, through her counsel and also through her testimony, has reported she's no longer willing to work services with the department. So I don't know what of benefit the protective order is going to be when mom is saying she's no longer willing to work with services.
Well, my response to that, Ms. Schrock, would be that if she's not willing to work a protective order, why would she be willing to work a case plan to achieve reunification? They're basically part and parcel of the same thing. Needs to get custody of children back, and this is the way we can do it with the least amount of restrictions on Ms. Douglas, and that again, with the whereabouts being unknown, we don't have any way to even take custody of these children.
All right. Court's going to modify the protective order in the particulars spelled out by counsel for the petitioner, defects. Court is going to give the mother 24 hours to return the children to the home of Ms. Green. Her failing to do that, I will enter an order awarding temporary custody of the children to the department, and they will take reasonable steps necessary to locate and retrieve the children.
And if I do that and they have to go to defects, or my mom brings them to defects, then what?
Then we'll have another hearing if Ms. Green.
So basically, y'all want me to give up my kids
I want you to bring
Exactly.
it
My
back
kids
to your
ain't trying.
mother.
My kids not going for it. I'm not going for it. I respectfully decline. You can do whatever you try to do. Like I told the caseworker, y'all gonna have to catch me because that's not happening.
All
My
right.
kids
Well,
are not going without me. I don't care how y'all feel, mentally stable, mentally not stable. Y'all
well,
gonna have to catch me
you
because
know
that's
you're
not
not
happening.
stable, and we want to help you get stable. We want you to be the parent.
Therapy is not helping. Make me stable by giving me some money. Y'all not
I'm
doing
not
that.
talking
So
about, we don't have any money to give
when I
you
pop
or
back
any
up
other
with a
parent.
house and all that, then it'll be cool. But
Ms. Douglas, we
yeah,
don't have money to hand out to anybody. Unfortunately,
exactly.
it would
So
help, but we don't. But we have
I know.
services,
So,
and not talking about therapy. We need.
Hey, here's a great time when you should just be like, yes, actually, if you show back up, we'll give you $1,000. That's what I would do. I'd just lie. Be like, absolutely, you know what? You're right. We have a fund for that. I didn't realize that's what you needed. We will get that set up for you. You have to come and get it.
To get a handle on
because all these services
what
are not helping.
we're through with the hearing. You won't let me talk. You keep interrupting me. So y'all take care, and you can send me an order to that effect. That's the ruling of the court.
Those poor children. You said it, MB. Very, very sad. Very, very just sad. Very sad indeed. Um, I'm telling you right now, though, you say that to a Texas judge. Oh, I don't think that's a good idea at all. I do not, do not, do not. They were two great hearings today. Thank you all for being here and for clocking in for your shifts, most importantly. Even better, MB, I already have a stacked lineup for tomorrow night ready to go for us, plus some new stuff that will be coming out. So, uh, I'm excited. We've got a lot of great court coming up. Hi, Ika. You say hello? Thank you so much, Tin Man, DMC. Everybody make sure you do hit that like button. Oh, please. I'm about to drop in the chat the link to the original first case from earlier tonight. You know the one I'm talking about with the Egyptian church person. And Credence and Mikey did it. And lovely Mikey came through and sent me the link. So I am going to drop that. No, that's not it. I'm going to drop. Oh, Ika, can you just hold on 1 second, please? Like, I just need 2 seconds. Um, that's what I need. Copy link. I'm going to drop this link in the chat for you guys to go visit because you can go watch that first case. It is right there. Yeah, Ika, hold on 1 second. I'm just signing off, okay? Please go check out Credence and Mikey. That was such a funny case. I believe I watched it there because I remember it with the man bun, but you can see that original case, the first one that we watched tonight. And if you're not already subscribed, what are you doing? There are very few, like 120 or less spaces left in the 2K club to be part of the first 2,000 subscribers to this channel. So make sure to get that subscribed in soon. And I love you. I'm proud of you. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Oh, take your meds. Be awesome. Talk to you later. Bye, guys. Larry Beaver says, be a good beaver.